So I'm going to call FinCom to order at 6 o'clock. I get to read the lovely, because we're video, you have to read the lovely, pursuant to Chapter 2 of the Acts of 2023, this meeting will be conducted via in-person remotely. And since that means that members of the public body as well as members of the public may access this meeting in person or virtually. The meeting may be accessed remotely via contact provided below. When required by law or allowed by the chair, people wishing to provide public comments or otherwise participate in the meeting may do so in person or remotely. Additionally, this meeting will be broadcast via the YouTube and cable television channels. We haven't done that before. We read that comment, so I'm kidding. FinCom, we're short one member, but everyone else is here. We're still looking for Mike, but that's a quorum. Want to kick off?
Yep. We also have a public content announcement. The meeting is being recorded by the recording clerk for the purpose of taking minutes. Is there anyone else present who wishes to record the meeting?
Topsfield Cable is recording on the video.
Thank you. And normally we have a sign-in sheet that gets circulated. We ask that anyone else that's here, please sign in to indicate your attendance at today's meeting. And we will call our meeting to order as well at 6:01 p.m.
Okay, and so first on your agenda across both these is really elementary schools, and to do a review with the elementary schools. There's I have the budget presentation that you shared, and we can jump through that and I'll hand it off. And
good evening, everybody. I'm Andrew Prazer. I'm the chair of the Topsfield School Committee.
Melissa Duffy.
Scott Morrison, superintendent.
Steve Greenberg, assistant superintendent.
Hey, Kim Stable, do you want to introduce yourself? Or you're fine. There's some other members of the school community here. So yes, we're sort of here to talk through our budget process today with some historical data for those of you who may be more new to the committee. The big picture good news is that we expect to come in a guideline this year. And so we're sort of tell you about how we got there. So starting off, going back 2 budget cycles now, in the 2023 annual town meeting, we passed, or I should say the town passed, a $1.14 million override for the elementary schools. Much of that covered sort of funding gaps that were left behind after the COVID years when the ESSER grants and the COVID grant was, doesn't matter. The state and federal grants that had expired that we had used to sort of plug holes in our budget when we met guideline for 2 or 3 budget years in a row, I forget which. So there's a list there of what was covered in that. Outside of the grant hole filling, there was also tuition-free kindergarten, which was implemented. We were one of the last districts in the state to still have a tuition-based kindergarten at that time. We maintained all our programs, and for the first time, we included a line item for teacher and student technology, which at the time we heard was very important from the FinCom at the time to include that in there. We now need to call our school committee meeting to order because we have 3 members here. So I will do so. We are in session. We have a 4th member in the hall.
Yeah.
Hey, Brandon. Coming out of the woodwork. There's a chair over here if you want to sit.
or at least couch chair.
I thought like you have a really big hall over there. I'm not sure.
I know. I don't know. Not my party.
Yeah, we didn't expect this much.
So, Jake, you want to watch the next slide? So, in FY25, we were asked to meet guideline by the town, which at that point was 2.25%. Since as you've all heard me say many times before, the annual budget for schools typically rises by 5 to 6%. That necessitated some reductions to the budget. So we cut 2 classrooms, the equivalent of 1 FTE for a digital learning specialist and ELA learning experience designer. We let go a part-time special education position. We eliminated 2 enrichment programs at Proctor, 2 crossing guards, and we reduced a portion of the professional development, technology, and curriculum supply line. So that was, I believe, a $660,000 reduction over our initial ask that year. In FY26, so that was last year, we asked for roughly a $900,000 override. That include, so main drivers for the budget increase that year were staff salaries. We fully incorporated out-of-district special education tuition into our budget. So prior to that, there's sort of a deal with FinCom where extraordinary special education was a different bucket than the elementary school budget. So we, just to make life easier for everyone, we included that in our budget. And we also had the new ELA curriculum that was a $202,000 expenditure. So Alyssa very nicely broke down all the numbers of how everything fit into there. I should also give Alyssa credit for putting this together. Thank you very much. So given the large override number, we did make some more cuts. We did not want to approach $1 million last year. So we reduced a further classroom section. So we've eliminated 3 classroom sections over the last 3 budget years. Some more reductions to curriculum, more reductions to enrichment, and some reductions to educational technology, which we had just put in 2 years prior. Again, feel free to jump in if I'm missing anything. So 2 new things that have been put in place, or I should say have been funded. One was established in 2019, which was our Special Education Reserve Fund. So this is a fund in which the town can place money, and then a vote of the school committee and the select board can release that money for use in a school budget year. Typically, that is used for a unexpected move-in or unexpected costs, so that we're not coming to the town and saying, "Hey, guess what? We need $150,000." Last year, we put $50,000 in that account. We are asking this year to put another $75,000 in that account. I'll cover that more in a minute. That account does have a funding limit of 2% of your actual net school spend. So for FY25, which is the most recent data we have, it's about $260,000. So that's maybe fifth full right now. The Special Education Stabilization Fund is unlimited, does not have a cap. Its current balance is also $50,000. We are looking to put hopefully another $75,000 in that this year. That is used more, as Mr. Greenberg is fond of saying, of smoothing out the peaks and valleys. So as special ed costs fluctuate, as students move in, students move out, through a majority vote, I believe, or is it 2/3? Is it 2/3? 2/3 vote at town hall. Sorry, not town hall, town meeting can authorize the release of those funds to be applied towards the school budget.
I think the law changed 2 years ago for that.
So
we'll check it. I think it might be. Let me check on that.
Okay, so it might be majority.
Yeah.
But either way, it has to go to town meeting to be approved. So that would be a situation in which,
Changed.
again, we had a significant increase to special education costs in a year. We would come to town meeting and say, "Hey, we can cover this portion, but we'd like the stabilization fund to cover that portion." And then it would be up to the town whether or not to approve those funds. And again, that has $50,000. Both those were funded by turnbacks from FY25. So at the end of our budget cycle, we turned back $100,000. This year or last year, we turned back 150, which is why we're asking for 75 and 75.
And if I can add to that, there's been a gentleman's commitment, and I'd say from FinCom's more than just an agreement, that when that money comes back, that we find a way to put it into this account with that following year. It's been the pay forward, pay in, and we commit to getting it in. We remember that we made that commitment.
Yes, we appreciate that. Looking at enrollment, so this is just the enrollment projected. No, sorry, this is this year's. Correct. So we have 6 sections with 4 classrooms, 2 sections with 5. As you can see, the enrollment varies from class to class, which is fairly typical. And so therefore the average class size varies with that as well. The administration does a very good job of adjusting those class sections based on the enrollment every year and the needs of those students. So just because there are 5 classroom sections in grade 3 this year does not necessarily mean there will be 5 classroom sections in grade 3 next year, if that makes sense. Mm-hmm. We've got our NESDEC enrollment data. So this is the data from the last 10 years. We've seen a slight decline in student population. It's the 60 kids in the last 4 years. But if you spread that across 6 grades, it's a handful of kids per grade. It has not really affected our classroom numbers significantly. And we have reduced 3 classrooms in the last 3 years. So we sort of are always keeping an eye on that. NESDEC does project forward another 10 years. We sort of have been looking at that data for the many years that we've been on the committee together. And it's accurate for 2 or 3 years out. And beyond that, it's kind of a crapshoot. The current projection is it stays steady or slightly increases over the next 3 years. Again, we'll see what that actually yields. All right, and on to this year's budget. So this year's budget has been built a little differently than past budgets. We've been using ClearGov, which has sort of, made things a little more transparent. We built it this year by using the known salary line increases for staff, and then all sort of consumable costs were based on FY25 actuals with a 3% inflation factor applied to those. We did get some circuit breaker money back this year, which will be used to cover some of the out-of-district tuition in 27. We have lost a few grants due to some demographic changes and some reductions at the federal level. So we have a little less income in that department. In our preliminary Chapter 70 increase is $40,000, correct? Yes. And then if you want to see our current staffing levels, we're not adding or subtracting any staff as of right now for next year. So our FY27 projected budget does meet the Finance Committee guideline that y'all gave us back in the fall. We've received some questions about, well, how is this possible if, 5 or 6% every year? So it's a sort of a confluence of different factors. One is this sort of new way to approach the budget through applying a 3% inflation factor for consumables. There will be some applied income we will put towards the budget. We had successful Unit A and Unit B contract negotiations last year, but that contract kicked in FY26. So this will be the second year of that contract. We are going to, well, we haven't voted on this, but there's a talk. The committee is considering reducing our bus service by 1 bus this year. That's a combination of, we looked at ridership numbers. We've had some service issues. And we think we can save some money by reducing a bus, still getting all the kids where they need to be at the same time, and saving some money in that department. Our required out-of-district transportation cost has also gone down this year, and that's just a factor of where kids are going to school. And we did make some reductions to our consumable and professional development lines. So as we sort of talked about in ClearGov, instead of having a breakdown of appendices of like every line item of everything that's spent, ClearGov allows you to look at sort of big cost centers. So here you can sort of see, the big drivers of the budget. Salaries only went up a little, about 4.5% this year, which is pretty reasonable. Admin costs there is mostly consumables, that's down 30%. And then transportation, the reason why that's down is a reflection of the bus that we're probably going to eliminate. Well, I should say we have to vote on that there. I don't make any assumptions. In-district special education did go up a little bit. We are creating a language-based classroom at Proctor School, or I should we have, which hopefully will start bringing in tuition dollars in the next year or so. But that's pretty much that. And then in terms of news and future planning, so we are in the process of searching for a new assistant superintendent of operations. Mr. Greenberg will be retiring at the end of the the end of the year. Which cap are you going to wear to the Hall of Fame? So our capital plan has long included a request for a replace of windows at the Proctor School, especially in the Georgian building, which is the old brick building out front. Some of those windows do not open. They are not energy efficient by any means. So we intend to apply for the accelerated repair program through MSBA in 2027. There's a window that opens every 2 years to apply for these things. If we are accepted into that program, the town we will be sort of bound to follow through on that project. It's expected, who knows, but the cost is projected between $1 and $2 million. What's the current MSB reimbursement? I mean, it's
around 40%.
Like 40% of the dollar. So we just wanted to make you aware that we do intend to apply for that program. Who knows if we will be accepted. So the Topsfield Language Academy, which I just mentioned, is up and running at Proctor. We do have interest from a few towns who have students who would qualify for the program. Those incoming tuitions based on what district they come from would be between $40,000 and $45,000 a year. So this is a note here that the first draft of the warrant that came around just had 50 and 50 in our 2 reserve funds. And we're going to ask for 75 and 75 if possible. And then looking ahead to FY28, not that we're done with 27 by any means. Again, just a reiteration that because we're coming in a guideline this year, that we're not trying to set an expectation that we'll be coming in a guideline in future years. We will likely have to seek an override next year. We'll have to see sort of how things fall. We will continue to be as fiscally prudent as possible, but also make sure we're meeting all our student needs. I'll keep banging this drum until I die, but had the 202 that was approved at town meeting for the schools by the majority of the people there, had that been included in our budget, operating budget, there's chances are we may have been able to avoid some overrides for a couple of years, just by expanding that operational capacity. It is our hope through continued responsible fiscal management, a modest increase in special education tuition, and continuing to identify operational efficiencies with town partners. We continue to provide budgets that meet our student needs and the needs of the community as well. Happy to take any questions.
Thank you for that. Those, start with FinCom. Anybody have anything they want to discuss, raise, question?
No, well versed in this.
Heidi?
So, you were talking about the MSBA and you said you're applying in January 27.
So
So it would be for fiscal year 28.
Yeah.
29, definitely, because it wouldn't get, you'd apply in 27, you wouldn't hear till after town meeting. And
Correct. It would be late.
So it'd be the
It would be
following
several years from now.
Yeah.
So 2 years.
It'd be town meeting
Yeah,
28.
yeah. Town meeting of 28, assuming you were approved.
And
You'd
at
hear
current
it.
cost, it would be about 600,000 to
Again, that's
Whatever.
sort of spitball.
60% to
Yeah.
1.2 million.
Yes.
Yeah.
Based on an estimate at this point.
And,
That's
you showed the current enrollment was 526
Yes.
students, and that then the nesty,
That's yeah.
is 523. Where's the discrepancy just in general? How does, is it north versus,
So
but it's also, how does
Because
it impact
kids, like,
foundation
move
enrollment?
kids move in after those numbers, the NASDAQ numbers have been
Okay,
compiled.
and foundation enrollment, I think this year is like 534 students. How does that go in, again, it's that discrepancy, but foundation enrollment impacts the total amount of foundation budget, which impacts the total amount of foundation aid, which impacts the total amount of our contribution, all that kind of stuff. So they're getting that 534 from,
The five, go back to NASDAQ and your question there.
Okay.
That is from October 1. And NASDAQ builds it off the October 1 report. And then from that time, we have a move in, a move out,
Right.
whatever the case may be. The 534, Heidi, if you could send me that number and I can get more data as to where that
yeah,
came from.
it's in the foundation from January 22nd.
Okay, perfect. So we can find out what that discrepancy may be between foundation and actual.
The state has had incorrect numbers before.
Correct.
Probably correct numbers for a different date, right? Yeah, I mean, it's just a different way of looking at it. Yeah. They're all gonna be off. Reconciling, and I know Heidi's been doing a lot of work to try and
Yeah, trying.
reconcile all of those. Heidi, anything else or anything else? From my side, the salaries went up by 4.48, but correct me if I'm wrong on this, but I believe nearly all of your teachers now are at or very near the top of their experience, their step, the high step.
I mean, we did a
Village.
heat map.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say they're all near the top step, but the majority are further down the grid
Yeah.
than. We have more teachers who have been here for more than 5 years than we do who are just starting.
Right. I think I remember from a year or two ago, you had 4 or 5 teachers or 6 teachers that were in the first set of grids, 1 through 5 or so. And you had a large number that were at 10 and 11 or at 12's your last, right? Yeah, 10 or 11 or 12. The idea being is those teachers, that majority, I would expect this number in the coming years to go down some, unless the next contract is calculated a different way, because they're not going to have the step anymore.
Well, they have nowhere to go. Yeah.
Right.
the other thing is you have to think about longevity. So, if
Right.
someone hits their 20 years.
Oh, okay.
That get that.
They get that in
Yeah.
for that.
We can never predict staffing patterns. Like we don't
Right.
ever,
Yeah.
we don't try to expect anything in
Right.
regard to that because we wait to see what's in front of us.
That's right.
Yeah.
Understood. But at the same time, it's informative for
It is.
both for this and for contracts in future years and evaluating all that. All right. Anybody have any other questions? Select board? Anything?
the link to ClearGov was up. Is that the current budget?
Yeah.
Already?
Yeah, it's been up for months.
Months? How can
Since
someone
December.
just?
Yeah, so I'll share this.
If you update it constantly, that's always the current version, right?
Yes, it's always a, yeah.
I think that was the question.
Thanks.
Yeah.
No, I was just Googling and I could only find FY 26.
So I will share out both you all and then we will post the PowerPoint to our meeting notes, but I'll share it as an email to you all.
Thank you.
The direct link.
Well, not the link, no, because,
Email you the link right now,
okay,
and then you can share it to.
because the link requires you to Google Authenticate. So if you forward the link, you're only forwarding it to, I believe, only the people you sent it to have access. I think,
I get
That was the
it.
the
presentation.
presentation,
Oh, presentation.
yeah,
Yeah.
so the link to that, but the presentation, okay.
The clear dot is on. the
Yeah,
screen.
it's just the-
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
no, that, okay. All right, so any other questions? Well, that was fast.
Okay.
Go to your meeting.
guys.
We have 40 minutes. to go.
Good.
I think to follow up on Jay's question, I think the question was, how many of the teachers are at the top? So there won't be step increases and we'll get a more moderate overall increase. I think that was,
Right, I don't have that data in front of me right now.
It's easy enough to get.
We could get there, yeah.
right.
But again, like, so they'll
I
still,
think that's a.
they'll always get their cost of living, their COLA.
Right,
cost of living increase.
Yeah.
It would just be that they wouldn't get the step of the column movement.
Right.
Yeah.
Right, so you get about half of the total raise that someone else get based on, but then to your point, once they hit 20 years, you guys, in the
Yeah,
contract,
there's
there's
a
a
15
long
and 20, yeah, there's longevity, yeah.
bonus in there. Okay. Okay. And then,
Thank you.
Steve, thank you for the past years. Good luck. Good luck. Enjoy.
We're done.
Oh, yes, I'm making a motion to adjourn our school committee. Second. All in favor, aye, great, we're done. Yeah, thank you.
Andrew,
Yes,
the buses.
yes.
One bus comes all the way down.
And the select board is going to take
They
a
used to
brief
drop them
recess
off
and
there and drive them.
reconvene in
Years
the
ago.
downstairs.
So,
To the kids.
Thank you,
okay, thank you for being here. We'll be here for a few hours more. We have,
I wanted to hang out.
With-
I didn't know that's what we were doing.
Yeah.
The gray one.
well, we are doing DPW and fire and
The
then
only
we're
one
reviewing
that-
warrants. We're having, so come on back up if you want.
Oh, yes.
They have two kids. Why can't they drive some?
And Alfred, go home and see you.
So I mean, that's up to the NRT, they come up
You're
with
being
routes.
recorded.
It's not us, yeah. But
Observation.
when we,
Thanks, Ed.
if we reduce the bus, they'll have to redo the routes a little bit anyway.
Yeah,
I think good luck for it. But yes, no, I think, thank you.
We had a
Thank you.
mile.
Thanks, Dr. Morrison.
When I was a kid, because we were 9/10 of a mile.
Me too.
So we'd slug
I
through the
lived in
snow and,
a circle and I got.
Uphill both ways.
did I get Gary?
He's coming. He's posted. He's ready.
He's right here.
Thank you guys, really appreciate your.
Hi, Gary.
Crack the window.
Yes, please.
Anyway,
Pulling up your slides.
W fire and,
That's it. Well, no, DPW fire, and then we're gonna talk Warren.
oh, okay, that's right, more.
Let me find, Gary, I had this is a problem with not maintaining digital hygiene.
Yeah.
Yeah, you sent it to me and I had it open. I just need to find it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'll also do. So that you can see and then we do.
All right, I'm just gonna go find it again in Word, in Outlook,
Does it
redo it.
according to foundation? Yeah.
That's a good heads up though on the windows so far. I've been hearing about it a long time, but we've got 2 years. If we have the opportunity, we can put some more money in the capital stabilization. Bam.
Yeah.
There's no override. That was my thought on
That
that.
was my question, not for them, but so they apply, if they get it, then you're committed.
That's
Well,
And then how do you pay for the
You-
other 60%? I know, but just where's the money come from?
So committed is a relative term. No, because you're not really,
About that.
you're not committed, because you can't be committed until a vote is done for the capital item. What they're doing is saying you're approved. If you don't do it, you lose the grant. you have to commit your money to then get the money from the grant. They won't pay you until you've done that. Gary, I can't
Like
find
that-
your,
You'd
you'd sent a-
Or go for a
Debt
loan.
exclusion.
you'd send a
That was my-
presentation,
so it could
right?
be a
One of the
debt- a
two.
debt
Yeah, I
item.
had it.
Okay.
But since we got.
Wait a minute, let me, there it is, I found it.
Stabilization,
So,
with free cash.
yeah.
There we go. All right, I'm sharing this now.
You gonna share it with me?
Yes,
Gary, I think you know
before we
everybody.
leave tonight, I am gonna email those over.
Other than,
Not me.
we have not met.
Yeah,
Michael, come here.
Michael, Gary, well, very nice to meet you.
Michael, is our newest member. Michael actually is a Tri-Town student, former student, resident, returning resident.
Just can't leave.
Yeah, I love this so much. And,
that feeling.
and actually, child of a Tri-Town employee, former employee.
And somewhat current.
Yeah. Is she, sir?
She does one day a week at the Middleton preschool.
Oh, cool. All right, so, sorry, you had two pictures as well. I wanted to pull those up.
Yeah, those are just, I threw those in for like if the conversation was still on the groundskeeping ask or not, just to show some before and after.
Okay, then what I'll do is I'll wait on those.
Thank you for widening all the roads before the last storm. I was gonna
Yeah.
Awesome job.
We've been,
Fairhill was a
really
little
been
scary.
utilizing our sidewalk machines out in the road.
They went by
Yeah.
today, my
You know,
house.
just trying to get as much as we
Yeah.
can, because it's a
They
lot
did a
neater.
great job.
We're not following anybody in, so, we're putting them to very good use, so.
Yeah, I will say on that,
I'm sorry, 6:30.
it's just, it's 6 o'clock today, no worries.
Wow, I should read my email.
Grab a seat,
Okay.
glad to have you join us. Yeah, all you missed was the school, and to give you a sense of how it went,
And it's because.
21 minutes.
Stopped at all.
we were done.
Intersection.
They're not asking for anything, they're staying in guidelines,
Okay.
so they're able to stay in guidelines, they're gonna ask for,
Did miss more meetings.
yeah.
Yeah.
All right. All right, now I'm gonna share, and then we'll kick off. And that should be loading now. All right. So you want to kick off? We all know,
Yeah, I think Gary knows everybody. Responsible for highway department, parks and cemetery, tree warden, etc. I'm sure I forgot some things in there.
At any given day on a phone call, something else.
What about weights and measures? Is that?
Good.
So if nobody else is responsible, Gary is, that's what it comes down to.
okay, right, so budget wise and then.
Yes.
Capital.
Would you like to start with the highway? Whatever is up. So there's very few changes with the highway I did some realigning of current accounts just to cover other costs. You'll see the wages for myself and or my admin was a 3% bump. Beyond that, it was really just trying to keep in line with everything. The only other thing is, I know you'll see there's a big number of the 20,000 for the road, bridge and sidewalk. Last year with some constraints, I offered up, I think a little to my chagrin, that money was used or needed. But those are funds that I desperately need for along with 60, we have 60 miles of roadway of 25 miles of sidewalk also. And trying to maintain the infrastructure, things that we need, the road, bridge and sidewalk is crucial. Now, I was hoping to get that money in its entirety back into that account this year to help us offset with our Chapter 90 funding. I get it with the constraints and what we're trying to do or what you all are trying to do. So I'm hoping we can get the 20 put in this year and then the following, again, it's gone the wrong way. This was 150, I think 10 or so years ago. Nothing's gotten cheaper, but that account has gone the wrong way. And at some point, it's going to hurt us all with what we can keep up with in the town and the expectations.
So this is which line, sorry, I'm
619.
619.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Here we go.
So the realignment of accounts is a wash.
Which version are you? in?
Yes, yes,
I mean.
So that, in
that's
other,
why.
there's only really one ask,
that is correct, yes.
and that's the one.
For RBS or what I call it, for that line item.
Give me 1 second, pull that up. I didn't have it up. I had the wrong one up.
What was that, 37,000 additional?
20,000 additional.
20 this
Oh,
year,
you got it, okay.
yeah, and then hopefully the remainder of it to at least get back to the 74.27, I think it was prior to this fiscal year. It seemed like everybody was in dire straits and they were asking me, where can you cut? And I said, well, we did get an influx from chapter 90 and Governor Keeley had signed a new transportation bill. So I was trying to play along and do the best I could. And
Which is,
it's with it as hopefully a 1-year term, but it is what it is.
And how many miles did you say? How many miles of roads and how many miles? Of
So it's 60 of paved road, and I think it's 25, if I read just recently, sidewalks. But a lot of that RBS that we use is for so many other things other than what chapter 90 would go to, just to kind of help offset.
And how do you get chapter 90 funds? Like,
So the long and short, if they have a scale they go on, it's residence jobs and lane miles. That's where in the last 2 years, we've been working on that street acceptance that has just gone out. And then they take a curve on that and you get a certain amount. Normally our normal is 255 a year in that ballpark that we get. And then we use what was our 74 to kind of go on top of that to help offset, to get more roads done, those kinds of things.
and this year, aren't we accepting, isn't it on the warrant to accept more roads?
Yes, yeah, so that project I'm praying is coming to an end this year on the 23rd with the acceptance and the layout with the select board and then to town meeting. So we can start realizing those funds because I've done rough numbers. It's about 25,000 a year. We have not been realizing for 30 or 40 years.
Yeah.
It's a significant amount. Now, those numbers could be a little either way. It's just kind of the best I can do. We've been losing, I'm not realizing anything that should have been brought in, basically. So, and that's when we kind of got into this project and there was a discrepancy in the lane miles, what the state said. And the issue was the state now changed their portal. They know exactly what is and isn't. We used to be able to put in for a road and you could do one that was unaccepted. They would not know. They do now. It's all electronic. So now it's hit the fan and this is kind of where this all came from, knowing it was going, which is called the Grant Central Portal through chapter 90.
Gary, just curious, like,
Yeah.
unaccepted roads, the homeowners on that street are responsible for getting it plowed, or you still plowing it anyway?
There's a couple of schools of thought on that. And some of the roads that we did not bring through were county layout roads. So when the counties were dismantled and some of the roads that were laid out by the county commissioners, technically there's a general law, mass general law stating we have to maintain those.
Yeah.
Any of the ones that were not laid out by the county commissioners, we're required to do safety, potholes, make sure a catch basin, somebody's not gonna fall in like a child. But then I can't, like right now, I cannot request, let's just say Aaron Drive. Or Pemberton for that reason, it's probably our worst. They will not give me, if I put it in, they would deny it. I don't have enough money in my regular operating budget to even consider that.
Right.
So it's that.
So we're not adding to any maintenance by accepting these streets
No.
or anything. We're already maintaining them,
We
so.
are by law technically supposed to be maintaining. We just can't go ahead and get the funding to do a full, instead of, I hate to put it this way, the Band-Aid on there of just patching things. We can't do a full reconstruction that we would normally do on any street that was accepted. That we've done just recently. And there's the rub when I've had the conversation with some residents and, vent to me about, what are you talking about? It's not accepted. I'm paying these taxes. And I said, I get it, give it to me, and then I'll give you my spiel to try to talk them in off the ledge. It was just something over the decades that I don't know why some of this never got put through. We intend that were accepted, but never got submitted to the state. We put those in 14 months ago to the state. There was already 4,500 streets ahead of us. because every town is in the same
Mhm.
issue. Drake has 145 unaccepted streets. They're planning on doing a warrant article for 7 to 10 and pay a consulting firm to do that for them till they get through them all. I don't know how many of those streets can last that long before they would have to get paved.
Mhm.
So this
Gary-
is separate from plowing, I'm sorry.
Yeah,
This is separate from, maintaining the snow and ice.
yeah,
Issues.
completely separate. It would be our infrastructure. And a lot of times you'd see us, we mill a roadway. If it is in good enough shape, we just take the top 1.5 inches off, we replace it with a new 1.5 inches or 2 inches, it rolls to 1.5 inches tight. And then that's it. And typically we'll go in at the same time, do all the structures. So there's that entire street is done for another 12 to 15, hopefully. Asphalt isn't what it used to be anymore with recycled materials that they have to use by state and federal mandates now. So roadways don't last like they used to.
The warrant article, you have to accept new roads. Would that give us the approximate 25,000, Gary, or was it 25,000 for everything outstanding?
No, it was actually the 24, so the 18, depending on how you count it, 18 to 20 roadways, that would be in that we weren't getting credit for because the state did not accept them as an accepted roadway.
Okay, so if we pass the warrant article and the state accepts it, what would be the estimated increase in revenue?
I think it would be 25. Now, I won't know for sure until
That's
we
fine.
get that new normal. So unless the governor, hopefully she
That's
does.
okay. That just gives us a
Yeah,
ballpark, but that's 2/3 of the way to what you need for the road maintenance.
Yes, but that could be an extended period of time. Now, mind you, that once we get that, I have to get them notarized through Beth.
Right.
And then I have to submit them to the state again on the portal. Hopefully they've caught up with all those in front of us so we can, because until we get those put in and accepted, we can't start
So
being given that money or credited for those lane miles.
I wouldn't bank on it though. Because at the same time you're doing it, every other town is
Yes,
doing it.
yeah,
So at the
yeah.
end of the day, you're not gonna get any money more money unless the legislature grants more money, total,
Yeah,
right? All you're doing is just staying with everybody else.
Yeah.
Right? Sorry to be the downer.
No, it's certainly, she just signed that 5-year. We're in the first or coming up on the end of the first year of the 5 of almost double what we would normally get. So I'm trying to make sure we get as much bang for the
Right.
buck for that right now.
Oh.
'Cause I have 30 or 40 right now that
Oh.
need to be paid.
You need to do this, because if you
Yeah.
don't, we'll get less,
It's-
because
it's-
the tide's being, the rising tide, and if you're not bailing the water out of our boat,
Yes.
we're not getting the
I'd like to
rise
think
with
we
it.
started that 2 years ago and we're
Yeah.
ahead of the curve. And a lot of the towns, I know this has spent a lot of money through a consulting firm to do this very thing, and we've been able to try to do it without
Yeah,
asking for money to get this done.
nice.
Hopefully this goes through that way.
All right, so we have an overall 3.84% increase request right now, according to the budget. And we've gone over some of the major things. Supplies, it seems to be down in, you know, is there anything else people on highway want to ask about?
I'm just curious, what's highway oxygen?
Acetylene for the welding and cutting of metals. Yeah,
Welding gases.
yes. No, good question.
Make the guys work harder and relax.
Yeah,
When they,
you loan it to the fire department occasionally
Right.
too.
anybody else?
How are we doing on, the current year's snow and ice?
Oh, Jesus,
Are you over?
Okay, storms.
We have, not including this past one on Saturday. Right now at this moment off my access that we use up on the hill is 7% left. So it's about 15,000, but as I walked in here, I had another $4,800 bill from a vendor. And I had already ordered salt, because we have 4 inches more coming tomorrow night. Been a difficult season for all of it.
Gary, when you do the follow-up snow removal, you widen the roads and things like that during the day. That's not extra overtime, is it? That's
It
your,
is, no, I try to do all that during
With your
regular
normal-
operating hours.
with your
Yeah,
normal labor,
trying to
right?
be sensitive to that whenever possible.
Mhm.
There are occasions we did have for a little bit, we had after the big storm, and I think actually I didn't pay for that, Greg might have, digging out the fire hydrants, trying to get as many done, because we just didn't have the people. We have some newer people on and are a little timid, which isn't the worst thing in the world, so a lot of mailboxes are still standing. 26-foot roads now shrunk down to 20-foot roads.
Yeah.
Thus, you've seen a lot of out with our sidewalk
Yep.
machines using the snow blowers, trying to get that back again, because we still have to worry about another month really
Right.
of any additional snow and where to put it.
Put the snow and also drainage. The
Yeah,
drains,
well,
the
yeah, the
drains
big
that
storm,
covered or,
they're already touting Sunday and the
Yeah.
Monday is possibly rain, and it's the worst thing in the world for me because I've got to find all of our catch basins and get those open.
yeah.
So, but yeah, to answer your question, I'm sensitive to trying to get that.
That's what it looked like. It
Yeah,
made sense. So the incremental cost is just a little for the equipment.
yeah, trust me, they're not whining for overtime. They would like a break, to be quite honest.
Okay. So that's highway and snow and ice associated with it. And snow and ice is a reminder to everyone, that's the one place where if it's over, we have to still pay it and we have to absorb it, but we can deficit spend that one account.
And we do have, it's
It will.
indexed on my copy. There is for an increase of 15 on that,
Yeah,
for snow and ice.
this copy shows
Yeah,
10,
the total's 15.
50. Oh yeah, because
Yeah.
five for overtime and 10 for maintenance.
But again, you're right. It has to be funded one way or the
Yeah.
other. It's just one of those that have sat that same number for so long.
It makes sense.
Is the extra helpline, is that just contractors?
So the extra help, we have empty vehicles. And so I have people that will come in that are seasoned, actually, one's a retired officer, one's a reserve officer. That line item, if I need someone to get in one of our town trucks, that is to pay them out of that line item, just solely.
Yeah, okay.
Great. Any other questions on either of those two? So that's DPW and specifically highway and snow and ice. We still also have the Parks and Recreation. Just kidding.
This is not part of it.
Parks and Cemetery.
Are there any dirt roads in Topsfield? Thankfully,
Well,
there's that.
some might say Pemberton, right?
I'm not confused.
But, I mean, but no, to be answered, everything's.
It won't go
There was one on the block, on here watching.
Yeah, Forest or Brook, but that was where water department just did
Okay.
all that water main,
So
which,
then you police don't-
yeah, there is.
So
Alright.
Parks and Cemetery has an overall increase of 3%, 3.06 as of right now, according to this copy.
3.8 of this highway, sorry, not Parks and Cemetery.
3.06.
Parks and.
Actually, no, that's its expenses. So total is 1.54. My apologies. So anything on,
Yeah, on that, there's a couple of realignments.
Yeah.
The only, I think the difference there is the ask for the 3,000 in groundskeeping to additionally go. And I know it's been almost 4 years now, I think, since the last I was able to convince you all to give us a little more there. One of the pictures in the slide that I sent,
show that, yeah.
it just kind of shows the before and after of what we've been able to do. Now that was Clock Park. But most of the properties we have been able to do a little better. We offset with the sports and the parks with those fees coming in. But we still have all our properties, including both schools that we take care of out of my budget, to take care of their properties, as well as the greens, the common around the church. So, and some of this stuff is important to, we made a change, and certainly I and Clock and the turf, and bought in the auto mowers have been fantastic. With Greg is eased up now because in the time we've gotten the increase for the ability to put down fertilizer and pesticides to try to get rid of the grubs and or the crabgrass. That's turned around and he has not seen any levels increasing on his testing from the North Street pump station. So now that is part of it. I'd like to try to incorporate the two softball fields that are in tough shape at Clock Park at either end.
Let me just add to that if I could. I asked Gary quite a bit about this. He really ran a trial program at Clock Park to see what you could do naturally to improve the grass. And that's what we want to show here.
That's before.
Yep.
I think
Wow.
the benefits of this go maybe beyond Clock Park. I think
And that
I can
is-
see other ramifications for this. I'll leave it at that.
The North Street side, if you will, is the treated. So those are the game sides. That was the most important to Sarah and TAA soccer. The other side, as you can see, is we've done very little over there. And the softball, you can't see the north field, but the outfield is the same as the south field for softball.
Yeah.
Number of
see it.
questions, Gary. What did you do? What was the incremental cost to do that?
So we it's always been, and a great credit to Sarah and TAA. They have for a long time have been dumping a lot of money in.
Right.
I would say almost 10,000 a year that they keep doing to help. And
Wow.
I feel bad, but it's a heck of a sport. There's a lot of players. So they're kind of a cash cow when it comes to that, more so than some of the other sports. So we tried to do aeration, which I was able to get a secondhand, very short money off of Rosencrantz. We do the aeration ourselves. And then we hire a vendor now, Clark Hydro Seeding, that takes care of our FERT. The reason for that is we don't have anybody with a pesticide license. So to us, it makes sense to us to have a vendor come in. They have to worry about the regulatory if at any point, and it's on them, not the town. And then we've changed our seed is the other important part, is we were using the wrong seed down there for far too long. So we've been using a different seed, and there's other pictures, but I didn't want to tie up too much time, but it's making a difference. And that is, we have no source of water other than Mother Nature there because of the area. And that's that talk we've had for a long time of how do you come up with that? Would it be fighting against the North Street pump station well fields while you're trying to draw down? So they're all that, but you look up a pie because we have that irrigation system and we put that well in during ARPA. It is just fantastic. Part of that was DEP regulated or
You have to.
have to have it, but it was a bonus to us. The football and the baseball fields have never looked better since then. And I think a lot of the sports that have got people that go up there have complimented what a difference it was.
How much do the robotic lawn mowers, the frequency, help improve this?
So that one, the big one is there now, or not right now, but during the on season, that goes out roughly at 9 o'clock at night. It works 7 days a week from 9 till 3 the next day. I have it parked. Just assuming kids are going to get out early for practice, just so there's no issues. The safeties on it are fantastic. All of that has been great, but it gives nitrogen a lot more because instead of leaving clumps, because we were cutting it once a week, because that's all we can afford to do with a machine that was made for hay fields, a 20-foot gang mower in the back. Now we were doing it every night. You're getting 1/8 of an inch. That clipping is going to decompose back into nitrogen much quicker than clumps all over the place. It's the silly things that I did not know 5 years ago as I've gotten into this, and it has made a difference to help, especially there, because greenskeeper for any golf course will tell you the most important thing in the world is the water. And we don't have it there. I don't know that we're ever going to solve that issue.
So this program was a combination of a lot of elements here.
Yes.
Is my point.
Yes.
The automatic mowing it every night, de-aerating, fertilizer, degrubbing, if you want to call it.
Yep, seed, spring and fall, and trying to get Sarah to buy in. And it's tough because the sport's grown, but no fields. We have not in the Tri-Town area added any fields. So, and there's so many teams playing.
Well, we've lost them.
We can't take fields out of rotation to let them rest and do it because we're seeding, they're playing on it. So some of that seed is just not going to germinate because of the play. The older the kids, the little kids, it's not, they're not as fast and it's not as disruptive to the seed, but the older kids, it is, and it does make a difference.
So what you're asking for is basically $3,000 for additional
it would go a long way in
maintenance of the
helping, yeah.
grounds.
And I know TAA and Sarah, I've got a good working relationship with her right now. And I know they're going to still continue. And mainly because we've turned it around and it is going in the right direction. I'd like to keep it that way. And some of that too would be for around town here as well, the Veterans Green, the other things that you don't want to neglect either. It's the beautiful downtown that you'd like to still see maintained and green whenever possible.
You plan to expand clock over to the softball fields too?
I would like to, yes, they've been neglected and I would like to be able to, it's hard. I can't use Sarah's money for soccer and put it over on the softball field. So it's been,
Yeah, so softball's the men's and women's league.
men's, women's, and there is the Titans, which is the girls' league too.
Yeah.
But the men's and women's, it is a big league and there's a lot of use. And they've loved what we've done because it's been able to make it look good in the mowers and the lines. It looks like it's Fenway now. It's just.
I had a question.
Has the play improved?
I have not seen any. I stopped playing about 20 years ago.
Where does Parks and Cemetery use so much natural gas?
It's the heater down there. We keep the heat on, but we keep it low. I don't have a definite answer as to
For
why.
where?
The building itself, because that has water in it. So it's bathrooms in the Park and Cemetery building itself.
Oh, this is in the cemetery?
Yes,
This seems like an awful lot of,
It's not very
a lot of money, you know?
it is. It's an
It's
old,
different
yeah,
other
it's an old
thousand.
port building, Dave. Yeah. There is also, not this year, but next, need garage doors on there to help. There's gaps and things, and it's an old building.
It's a week, yeah. I mean, it hadn't changed since Steve Shepherd.
No.
You don't have any staff down there, right?
Yeah, turn the water off and drain it.
Well, we do, I have, one of my female employees that is down there often, and I have to supply a bathroom for her down there as opposed to leave the job, come back up to the hill. Now you're talking downtime back and forth, so it's one of those things.
I just saw $4,300. I couldn't figure out where we need that much natural gas. That's
Right. Yeah, it would be just solely for the heating down there and the hot water heater, but that's currently, we've had that turned off for a while.
Call Mass Safe.
Yeah.
Let them come in and audit it and give you free
We did do, I
installation.
believe we did, when part of the LED light fixtures that we did a few years ago, I think we did in there also.
Yeah, I couldn't figure that one out.
Good. Others? So Parks and Cemetery, any other questions? No? Anything else before we go to capital? Am I missing something?
Yeah, we're missing a couple.
Tree and gas,
Okay,
but the gasoline is pretty much, nothing's changed on there. The pricing this year has been pretty steady. So I think we're all right between the snow and ice gas, and then when we go back to our operating budget, I don't see there's a need right now. What do you think, Joe Bucky?
What about the tree warden? That's another one, Gary.
We had something, but it has been removed in this version. I was
Okay.
looking to get that increased on the contractor part of that and make it a total of 15,000.
Right.
But that was just recently taken out. But I mean, that's emergency stuff that we do on a day-to-day storm bursts and things that happen.
Correct.
I mean, the detail line is 600, one officer for one detail in a fiscal year is $498. A train job would be 3,000 to 4,000 for 2 trees in a day. So, and we try to do that where it's stuff that's down. I don't have a tree crew, it's me and my crew, but we don't cut 80-foot trees down. We're not geared for that. So we have to have a contractor come in and make sure it's safe if it's not all the way down, those kinds of things. Or calls, hey, there's a hole in this tree. I haven't seen it when I drive around, and that's what that budget's usually used for emergency purposes.
So the tree warden account is no increase.
No increase
No.
this year again. Yeah. I know there is, I think, a warrant in
Right.
for trees
We'll come
again.
to that in a moment, I think. Do you have any other operating budgets?
No, thank you. I'm not MS4. I just, and the landfill I think falls under the health department
The landfill's under health now?
now, so, and I'd like to keep it that way. Unless they need me to fix something up there, which is fine.
Okay.
We do still monitor, take care of any of the maintenance for the passive vents up there, which is really just the vents on top. If they They're stainless steel, they only go so long from the methane, and we change them out occasionally to make sure they work. And help out.
Well,
with,
you probably have to snow plow up there too.
We do.
Yeah.
We go through and cut that. That is, we have lost our snow dump down on Central Street. To the family that was letting the town, and it used to be what was technically a registered, state snow dump, right across from Lawton's old building, that little park there. So this last time around, we did downtown just recently. We used Harmer Field, which is the lower parking lot down by the lacrosse fields. It's outside the sun-assigned area. So when you technically by law, you can't put it up on the landfill. The DEP frowns on that. So that portion outside there was never the landfill. At one point, that was actually a opening for the police department down there a long time ago. So down there is allowed, there's a buffer enough from the environmental or the wetlands part. And I had checked with this with Heidi before she had left. And it is outside the total slope, which is the site assigned area for the landfill. So it allows us to put there, what I'm gonna do in this off season this year is work to get that as our primary with the state. And then, because the backup technically, which I find odd, is the Hoods Pond parking lot. Which to me makes
Yeah.
the direct,
Yeah,
runoff
run
right
right
down
into
the.
the-
Oh, right.
So
With very little,
I have to chuckle at this, and there is no solution. But I sit here and hear you talk about clock park and we need water. And it's like, okay, can we farm this over? Put it in a pile over here. I know you can't. I'm just, I'm thinking of the ski areas that will build a mound of snow and then spend months just pushing it across.
Yeah.
But anyway, in all seriousness, it is fun what we had. It's kind of like the year that we're asked for money to plant trees and asked for money to cut trees.
Yes.
And that conversation that year was amazing to me, that it was more the planting than
Yeah.
the cutting on that town meeting. I just sat there, I was kind of flabbergasted,
Yeah.
like.
Thing. But anyway, all right, so anything else, from budget wise on the operating budgets?
I do.
Okay, so I will stop sharing on this and we'll go over to your other one, which is that. And the multi-use book.
Hey, Gary, just a question there. I'm looking at the stormwater,
So the answer is, okay,
stormwater management. It must have transferred this salary to Board of Health or something.
Funds are,
Yeah, so I think they split it between Jackie and John. One is MS4 and one is stormwater coordinator.
Okay,
And I think there's a budget for the consultant. Nick Christie, I forget the name of it.
just so when we go through theirs, we know where you're
Yeah.
coming from.
Amanda knows.
Yeah, that doesn't.
Yeah, hi Carrie, I can save you. Yeah, so they're in stormwater, it was owned by, at this point, Jackie and, which is Conscom and Planning and Zoning. So what we did was, instead of having it be like, kind of like who owns it, we were like, we'll just put their accounts with them. So you'll see Conscom has a $27,000 increase in the other categories, but that's just moving from stormwater up to Conscom. And then you'll also see that the consultant line item is we now use the stipend for the MS4, but I think that's what it is. We now have that up, we netted it out, so we have, I think 2,000 we moved up to the planning and zoning budget. So now stormwater is actually allocated to where it needs to be. So it's no net increase, just a net decrease, if you will, because you'll also see that there is a planner added to that section. So it was to offset that, which we can talk about another time, but essentially that has nothing to do with Gary, so.
okay, so
Hey, Tom, I see the second version had Gary's increase in there.
here's the ask on the multi-use.
So I think some of you, if you remember last year, I had prefaced this truck that I'm looking to get replaced, was on the slate last year. but was asked to be removed at the last hour, just the budgetary constraints. In that presentation of the mowers and things last year, I did kind of go over some of these. This truck is something if we're going to start to replace things, it should be multi-use, it's a year-round vehicle and not solely 9 months of the year it sits in the garage because it plows, but those are those things we still need. So the original of this comes right out with what we would get for this price are 5 different operating units that we would use. There's any number of extras that can get put on it. I keep looking and it's almost endless of what you pull on this truck with the right platform going forward. One of the main things is, no one's probably ever noticed, we pick up every leaf in town by hand still. We don't have anything, and it was never, the parking thing when they got it was mulch and mulch and mulch and then mulch some more and leave it. That just didn't seem to be the right thing. One of the things on this is will be a dumpster that can be used as a dump body also, but it also comes with a hood on it or a metal cap that would make it a leaf box as well as a chip box. So dealing for 2 that we can pull the chipper behind if we have storm damage and we're out doing roadside stuff, trying to get that stuff run. If you go, that's our price points. These are different chassis. One of the things I did talk to you about with the feds last year and possibly changing things is trying to get in under the 26,000 GVW. That number is the golden ticket to CDL licenses. If I can get one D-rated, and most of these on here can be, now I can have any one of my crew drive it because it is not a CDL vehicle. And even with air brakes, but it's under that GVW, I can have anybody in my crew, not solely someone from the CDL. It's a difficult thing. A lot of times we're fortunate right now to have my highway people have their CDLs, but the park and cemetery don't. There's no expectation for them to get, but they could drive this truck. It will be a little smaller than our class 6 trucks that we currently have, but it would be a whole lot more versatile as we go forward. And there's just a few slides on there. Some of those are flatbeds. There's the brine, the bottom left. We have a hot box now that we have about 15 or so years old that is getting long in the tooth for our potholes. Now, I would, at some point down the road, if we were to get this truck, would have to look into the cost of getting one to pull up on the back of a truck as opposed to a trailer and pull it behind. So it's just any number. The one on the bottom right is a brine system. We do that now, but we have to slide that and change it in and out. This we could mount right onto a couple variations there of how that works and pull it up and they go, drop it, put the sander on in about 5 minutes, and now it's ready for the storm also.
Nice.
And I think is there another way, Terry?
Yep.
Yeah, so that's the dumpster, roughly a 20-yarder. That's just a picture of a leaf vac that we would mount to the back of the dumpster that could be taken off rather easily. That can be used for the leaves as they fall, and then our chipper can go on the back of this and blow right in as well. Also, and then it's just any number of things. We pick materials up that we have to have. We can take a flatbed as opposed to having to slide out one of the sanders to go get something, which can be, time consuming. Right there is the reason for the request. That's the old truck. I did do just a cost comparison. The running of it still, it's one of those, clearly I am here because I think I don't want that option, but I've got to stay ahead of making sure I have the fleet when it needs to be out there and not wait for it to break down and then say, what do we do? So that's the reason for this request. I did put in the truck we got, the Mac that you guys had approved for 24. That truck today, I think then it was 237. It is now just for the dump body and the chassis is $277,000 with nothing else. Thus, now you go down to replace the multi-use, and what we get for that is with the plow, with the spreader, with the flatbed, with the dump body and the cab, all on that truck, and would be ready to go along with our new Force America systems that we're using to track our salt when we're putting it down the road.
So I think I'm losing track of, is this a one-to-one replacement, or did you just mention another truck that was funded but not purchased?
So it's a one-to-many replacement, meaning,
Technically, it's to replace this truck that I was going to have on the list last year. We were in a crunch, so we pulled it.
Right.
So it's in the rotation of when I would like to try to get rid of it.
and then the replacement is multi-use.
Yeah, it's
So
a
that's the one-
chassis, but so many things right out of the gate it can do on literally a 12-month basis.
So this is a 5-ton or whatever, 26,000 pound plus, 30,000 pound, 30,000 pound plus
Yeah.
vehicle. You're gonna replace it with something that's a little less, a smaller. But instead of it just being a dump with a plow on it and a sander with a plow on it, you expect to be able to get the brine machine, each of these, basically a number of these
In
different
that price,
devices.
yeah, so the upfit price is 155.
Right,
It went up 15,350 from last year at this time.
but so you'd get it, the 277 is the new truck
Is all.
with the dump, not even with the plows on it.
No, actually, that is inclusive of
Okay.
a plow also.
Okay.
A brand new spreader on it
Yeah.
as well. And then the other.
But this one gives you the plow and spreader, a
Yeah.
flatbed,
Yeah,
a dumpster.
the 274, all
Yeah.
of that is the whole shebang. The other one would just be the cab and the dump body for 277.
And now all your crewmen can drive that.
And I can have anyone, yeah, so if we're short,
Yeah.
vacation, sick, now I don't have a CDL driver, well, I don't need one. I don't necessarily need another class 6 right now, which is what these are considered, these size trucks.
Yeah.
I need something that's versatile, a little smaller than anybody can use, but also not sit. Because it's really for the snow in the winter, it's something like the trackless when I sold that to you guys for the sidewalk, how many things that can do.
Yeah.
Same idea here is it can't sit doing nothing at that price. It has to keep moving. So that's kind of my thought behind the whole thing of trying to get into something like this and the efficiencies behind it as well. Leaves, any number of things, cleanups around town. I can put a dumpster on the ground. We can work from that. When they're done, pick it up, put it in our compost pile.
Sure.
So those kinds of things that I'm looking at.
What do you do now for that last example?
We just pick it up and put it in full length dumpsters. Or excuse me, dump bodies, have to take the tailgates off because a lot of times the log length is too long. So we do that now.
Questions?
I'm dancing around efficiencies, where are we gonna see them? And versus, is this a new level,
So,
higher level
stop
of
dancing.
service?
To say that.
Those are the two things I'm looking at, right? Level services, this looks like you're doing more.
I think so, yes,
And,
absolutely.
okay, and then I don't know if there's gonna be efficiency, you're gonna show up in lower labor costs in the future. And then, of course, the thing I'm always getting is, we keep trading in these trucks that have tons of life left on them. Well under 10,000 engine hours.
I would disagree with you on the life though, but that's me and these motors, and we researched that 2 years ago with the Max Force motors. The reason that truck is, I hate to say it, is $8,000 trade-in. As soon as I call a vendor and the first thing they ask me, what motor is in it? And I tell them the year and it's an international with that Max Force, they don't want it.
But that's a 10,000 hour motor truck,
Yeah, yes, if it stays running
and it's running.
but what if it is in a 2-foot storm? And then in the middle of that winter, I get it.
I mean,
I have to worry
but I
about,
should have, right?
but you're at home sleeping cozy. I have to do public safety and I have to plan ahead for that. That's my biggest thing. The what ifs and run it till it blows up is all well and good.
It's not blow up. Can you run it to its expected life?
So there is
10,000 hours is the standard for those.
yes. And for most motors. This almost bankrupted International if Volkswagen hadn't bought them, that motor.
So one of the things that we worked on was, a few years back, Superintendent Wilson and I did, and the count at the time, we worked on having a regular replacement schedule so that we don't find ourselves in that storm with something failing and having to come back for a FinCom reserve transfer, because the cost of one of these is gonna be greater than what we put aside every year. And so we'll be down a truck until town meeting a year from that time. So we're trying to make sure that and at the same time, we're able to maximize some of the trade-in value to it. And so there's certainly the conversation when, I know it's $8,000. I know it's $8,000. But that's kind of proof that we're not trading in and getting half the value back, and we're not trading in and getting $1. It's still working. Yes, it's got an engine that turns on when we turn the key, but with that replacement schedule, it also allows us to be consistent with the application of free cash and repair over a 5-year period of time. We don't say automatically that we're going to buy, and there's been years, I think 1 year, last year or the year before, we pushed off. We pushed one off.
Yeah.
We pushed off in the past making the investment. So instead of that 8-year, 10-year, 12-year life that we put into expectancy, we have made those conscious decisions, both operationally and business minded, for what we have available to push vehicles off the past too. So
He's saying, and I know David, was laboring over those same things on the last one, we bought them back with these same ideas as to whether it is.
Yeah, that one,
Feasible or not. I get it. It's, my viewpoint on it is my crew, and do I have it ready when I need it? I understand the other side of it. It's just one of those things, if I can stay ahead, I am preventative, the maintenance that we do on these now. And I try to stay ahead of, do we keep it till it's no good? And we're full in and we can't get one because the lead time is a year? Or do we try to come up with it if the money's available and try to stay ahead of that? Now, right now, the fleet is in pretty good shape, well, really good shape in the last 4 or 5 years because of your help and what we have. This is one of those that's getting there. I'm just trying to stay up on it so I can keep doing the job that we've been doing and not suddenly have to throw.
the real driver here, I agree with Mike, generally,
Yeah.
diesel engine will run 10,000 or more.
Yeah.
That's just normal. The real issue is a question on the reliability of the motor. That's really the driver here, right?
I would agree. I was an over-the-road trucker. My last tractor had 2 million miles on it, had 1 rebuild on it.
Right.
So I understand on all that. If it weren't for this manufacturer and this motor, if it were a Cummins, a Cat, a Mack, I probably would have a different feeling on it.
So I guess the other side of it, what's the risk if it does break down? How many trucks do we have out there in the snowstorm? Is it gonna slow down the salting 10%? I think
hire somebody
I think we have 5 of these big trucks, right?
Yeah, that's
This size. We got some of the F-550s, we got 350s, and we have contractors.
Okay, so let's start with, just because of what you're asking. You're asking, in fact, is how many of the frontline this one's a sander. How many of them are sanders?
There's 4 that size right now that do the 4 routes that
Okay.
we have.
But we have other ones, don't we, that do salting?
So we're not done with it. Let's go through it. Let's give them a chance. So we've got the 4 sanders that are the 6s. They're basically the large.
Yeah, class 6.
Class 6s. You've got 4 of those. This is one of them.
Yes.
And then what else is the other?
So we have plow trucks that are.
Yeah.
We have one other, the catch basin truck that is a class 6 that has a plow on the front. It cannot be retrofitted with a sander.
Yeah,
It has
yeah.
a fixed crane on it.
Yeah, so it's a catch basin, so it's plow only. Okay. And remember, this is 60 miles of road that we're doing, right?
Yes,
So,
18 routes.
yeah,
A lot of, the 2-footer was 38 straight hours.
yeah, okay. Catch basin, you have the one of that, and then what are the other ones?
And then there is the pickup trucks. So we have 1, 2, 3 for the parking cemetery that are daily used. There is,
They're daily use trucks year round that you, during the winter, throw a plow on.
yes,
Yeah.
yes. One of those for the cemetery is a 550, which is a 1-ton dump.
Yeah.
We have one with a highway also. And then.
So 550 is actually strengthened 1 ton, because it's
Yes.
the 3,500 would be,
Yes.
yeah, with that bigger motor, okay.
So there's my truck, Travis's truck. We have, and nothing is increased, so I'm just trying to keep a
Yeah.
level
Yeah.
fleet of
I just-
nothing added.
I just wanted, so we can have that discussion, if they want to have a discussion, let's give you a chance to get what there is there.
Sure.
3 pickup trucks with plows, including that 550?
So I have my truck.
Yeah.
That is plow. Travis's, and we have the other truck that we have, which is another 350, which we put out. We need that on a route, so that gets put out from somebody from Extra Help.
Okay,
And then our 3 PNC trucks. One of my PNC employees, so I have to bring in, they don't want to plow anymore, and I can't force overtime. So I have to bring someone in to drive that truck, other than 7-3, he has to plow during working hours. Kind of,
I understand.
I'm old school, that stuff drives me nuts, I've
Yeah.
never said no.
Do your job, right? I get
I
it.
do, but it's a different generation, so.
Okay. Okay, so, I mean,
Contractors.
and then you can bring
And
contractors.
I will say this too, our senior administrative assistant in the highway department is our backup plow driver. And they get paid, they work 35 hours, 34 hours?
Yeah, she's 35, so.
35 hours, so first 5 hours that she works, it's actually at her going rate.
Right.
And then anything after that becomes overtime, and the backup to the backup is the town administrator. And he's
Yeah.
free.
Now I'm free too. but-
There's this,
Well,
I'm still waiting for that call though.
Sort of.
Gotta go. I told him, I'm like, I'm next man up.
He's retrofitting your Tacoma right now.
I can't wait. I don't know if the Tacoma can handle
We
it, but
got
that's all
counterweights for
right.
that too.
yeah.
Exactly, we'll do that.
All right, so the point being is that from a vehicle perspective, a number of these are used, but that's just what you have. You have a total of 4, basically with Sanders on them in total.
Yes,
Which what you're proposing, one of the Sanders is at risk, which would be a 25% drop in the availability of Sanders, which go out first and come home for last.
they're the front line for
Yeah.
highway, they're right.
And your Sanders going out
And
first
they're
and
home last,
last, yeah.
because once we finally get cleaned up after a
You
storm,
got it.
we have to treat everything
Yeah.
again.
So just have that. So back to the point,
Yeah.
it's, the risk there, I get it. I mean, I'm almost to the point of asking a different question, but related, different perspective. If that thing's sort of running, or still reliable, and you're paying people all this overtime and this time and a half, I mean, particularly after 40 hours, is it worth getting the 8,000 for that, or you keep that one and run another group person? Would you save financial money or not?
David asked me that the other day.
I did.
Okay.
I think we covered all sorts of options.
Yeah.
We made Gary crazy.
Minimum,
No,
it's a minimum, you keep it for parts too, or something.
Yeah.
Well, it sounds like that engine isn't in any of our other vehicles.
I've always, I guess since I've got the job, I always looked at it, if you were gonna be willing enough to get us the money to get the vehicle, then that should go, because I'm making the case that it should. But at the same time, it's 8,000, and it's like, kills me myself to see that.
Well, I'm thinking I'm gonna go buy it. I'm gonna
Well,
go-
Side bids, right?
Yeah.
Start plowing.
Yeah. No, I'm gonna go on the government.
They're
website.
vultures.
We asked the
Yeah.
question,
Yeah.
if you only get 8,000, the engine blows up, what does it cost to replace the engine? If the rest of it is still structurally,
8,000,
is an
someone
option,
else.
just swap out the diesel engine for.
Well, you say swap out, it's not getting done in-house.
No, of course not,
And that's a frame out, and
yeah,
finding a motor, what can you put in that's gonna retrofit?
I have no
it?
idea,
Frame
just-
rates.
it was,
Yeah.
If you're not gonna
another
buy the
idea,
same
because-
export motor.
and here's the other question, if we're adding all this functionality with this new one, can that replace a second vehicle as well?
No. We have too much to do.
Because what we're doing is adding a new program here with all this additional functionality.
Well, I would say no to that we're not, you're adding some things that can help efficiencies. And then I can redirect people that aren't raking for 40 hours a week, because now we were able to do vacuuming, where we can get to other tasks that aren't getting done. You guys, I know some of it is you are looking for maybe to labor to get off, but the parking cemetery has much to, there's 3 employees. One could stay 40 hours a week in the cemetery and never leave it. We have 130 acres year round that have to get maintained. 18 fields in the spring, 5 days a week. So you can see where I'm going with this and what the available hours are and what needs to be done to get it done. I think we're doing a hell of a job with it. And with that is some of these efficiencies. Again, as I try to look at this and go, can we do something a little quicker? If we would replace that with just a dump truck because it went, say it was blown, and we just single function, what does that really gain us?
So I'm gonna change that if I can, that consideration around it a little bit. I'm gonna say there's really for FinCom from a recommendation, two things we're looking at. The first is, do you agree or not agree that we should replace the vehicle? And then the second one is, if the answer to one is yes, then two, which of these two make more sense? Right? And conflating those two questions, I think is gonna get us confused and spin us a little bit. At the end of the day, first question, either you believe the vehicle should be replaced or not. And or you feel, or you, whatever your view is anyone has, so you want to ask questions, that's fine. But then after that, we can have the discussion about whether it is. Saying it's a new function, I'm sitting here going, if the answer to one is yes, and I look at 277 for a 35,000 gross ton vehicle has a benefit. 274,000 for a 25,000 gross ton vehicle that has the other things, has a different set of benefits, and that's something we would weigh separately after you get to the first question, through the first. So, if I can, I just wanted
That's a more concise way of dancing.
That's why Gary put the numbers up to what
Yeah.
he did.
Oh, I know. Oh,
We had
yeah.
that discussion.
Yeah. So anyway, those are the questions that we'll have to have that discussion and stuff. Is there, for everybody here, are there any other thoughts or questions on that at this point? Or any more about these vehicles?
Just one thing, instead of trade-in, have you guys thought about public auctions at all? Have you done those here?
We do actually, we just had quite a big one with all this. Again, efficiency, we came up with equipment that you helped us get. We just, without having to go to capital, a $48,000 tractor for $5,000, brand new John Deere.
Yeah.
There was a need because the little one we had for decades, and a lot of this equipment that we were able to package up and either sell at auction or trade got us that brand new John Deere tractor.
Yeah.
So, Mr. Walker, our Chief Collins Brown is our resident auctioneer for the town.
Oh, nice.
Does some phenomenal work putting those bids out to bid.
Has Newburyport done that with DPW at all? Do you know?
I haven't done it with them, but I've done it with other towns.
And you can put, I think Jen can put a minimum on that, on a piece of equipment.
Probably.
Yeah.
I think so. If you're not gonna get at least that,
Yeah.
Then
you could at least put it on there and see.
Okay. Anything else? I'm gonna try and move us forward, but don't want to stop questions as long as they're new questions.
Just a couple pieces of general information unrelated to this.
Sure.
You may remember years ago, we used to put a zero-turn mower on every year.
Yeah.
It's been 2, 3, 4 years now, and the reason is we get the robotic mowers, but also we got that trackless. We got additional, much more effective, efficient capacity. Sometimes you forget that.
And the outsourcing of the lawn care at the cemetery helped that prolong the life of the equipment as well.
And the
And then
mechanic,
benefit, not just the financial benefit, but of the cost to do it versus our cost.
but also the mechanic.
Yeah,
Very,
Pat
really-
is, we are very lucky to have
You're
Pat.
doing very, very good preventative maintenance now,
Good.
routinely, so. That's it, just throw that in.
Any other new thoughts, questions, feedback? Okay. Thank you.
Thank you all very
Oh,
much.
oh, you had a couple more warrant, trees. You wanted a warrant article for trees, or is that gone?
No, it's on, and I'll just make a point. So every year we have a line item in our operating budget for under tree warden for about $7,000 for emergency purpose under public safety. It's for those times in a storm and a tree comes down. We've been fortunate, a few years ago, we had an article to both plant trees, another article to remove trees, hazardous trees, and we've spent the money on the hazardous trees in its entirety of that warrant article, but we've never increased that dollar amount in the budget. So what we've done in essence is, because that number is so low on those emergency, 1 or 2 storms alone can take care of that entire budget line item. Is that we've dipped into that article or put free cash in to use to supplement that line item in the budget, which is fine. It gets us ahead of it as well. That's the intent is to cut down preemptively the dead or dying trees out of that article, but we can also use it for the removal of emergency, the way it was worded. We have an article in the warrant this year to do the same again, which Celeste brings up. I will note that we had originally $7,925 in version 1 of the omnibus in that line item, in addition to the $7,000, got us to about $15,000. That's since been reduced down out of the budget, that additional 7925.
Yeah.
So I just want to make that point because they do play together.
Did you take out, so you did that? But did you keep the warrant at the same 7,500 or whatever it was, or did you say?
40,000.
40,000.
Warrant was 40,000. We left that flat, but we reduced. So the net amount, we had 47, we almost had 48,000 total
Okay.
between the two in new money. And then that 48 comes off, or that 78 comes off, or 7,900 comes off. So that basically that 40,000 new monies, but that'll be available for the next few years. And we have attacked those trees pretty aggressively in the last few years, especially, with our tree wardens leadership. And there's a very precise action plan that Mr. Wells can speak to about the next phase to pull those trees off the right of way so that we don't find ourselves or limit the amount of dead trees that come down or dying trees during storms, which are hazardous and obviously cost more money when those come down.
We're fortunate with the amount of trees we do have and the canopy, in Topsfield. I know Mike likes to clear cut from.
No, yeah.
I'm just kidding.
All right, thank you.
We do have a lot of it, and there is a lot of old growth that is just beyond safe. All, if you take a ride with me sometime, Perkins Road, Rowley Bridge, they're all over, but we've done no real, up until that other warrant, preventative maintenance on that stuff to get those down before something does happen.
I think it was 2 years ago, we had a warrant for 50,000, was
Yes,
it?
it was 2 or 3,
It's 3
Dave was
years.
still 3 wards.
Was it 3 years?
He spent some of that, and then I
And
spent,
how long did that last?
It's like
12
years?
2.5
Roughly?
years.
so it's about for $7,800 a day. I can usually get somewhere between 50 and 60 trees down with this machine that they use called the Centerbogan.
Just as a point of reference, that 40,000 sounds like a lot. It's not at $1,000 a tree. But if you think about a whole mile of road,
Yeah,
start counting the number of trees right along the road and you go, oh my gosh, 60 miles. We've got tens of thousands of trees potentially.
and I go around, it's funny because it comes full circle. Travis does it all the time. We get this one now. And I would tell him, stop looking up. Dave used to tell me the same thing. And you can't, we've got to do something about it. Those are those things. Old growth, we're very fortunate, but some towns around us have had those plans in place or ahead of us. I look around and I see it and I just, at some point, we need to start making that effort. I don't know what's,
Yeah,
or,
the power company would kick in.
well, they've done a great deal this year.
I would speak
But
to.
that's most of our power goes down to the
Yeah,
tree.
Well, and have you noticed, knock on wood,
Just the main transmission,
Yeah.
transmission lines
Yeah.
far too often and leave the rest up where I'll beg them to say, hey, this one over here. And they've worked with me on that. They'll come in and, call a favor and kind of thing.
there's, knocking on wood, there are a whole heck of a lot less power outages now
Yes.
than there were 8, 10, 15
No,
years ago.
no, we're not
So-
Africa anymore.
Yeah, we were. You know why that is?
Yeah.
I had a generator installed. I haven't used it.
Yeah.
I haven't had to use it. So you all can thank me.
purchase.
Yeah. All right, I'm gonna wrap it up here if I can, if we can.
Is that it, or
Ron,
did you have a third one, Gary? I can't remember.
we covered,
Trailers. You covered trailers?
Oh, I'm sorry. Real quick, the trailers and.
That's what it was.
I forgot all, thank you. The trailers and the septic upgrade.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Two more.
Those two in there,
Yeah.
the septic, it's 8,000 for the trailers. For the PNC, the ones we have, they're very old. We're constantly trying to weld them up, and it's just one of those things. They're about 4,500 each. Whatever, if that goes through, I can offset with the operating budget for the new fiscal year to get those and get them up. The septic is more about wiring and the pumps from our tanks in the parking lot to the building that we've found have been heating up and been melting from an inspection we had. It's not the septic system, that is fine.
Okay.
It's just that stuff from our alarm on the wall that needs to get done to get that upgraded. It's 28 years old now. We do have 12 people working out of there now because that's our central location.
Yeah, Greg has brought it up to the need.
Yes,
and
yeah.
what's the ask on that one?
25,
25 split 2/3 to highway, 1/3 to water.
25.
Because it's usually.
Yeah, so a
when we
third will
split
come out of
building
enterprise
costs,
and,
It's
retained
65.
earnings.
It's really just a big holding tank. It's a pump system. You gotta pump it up to the leach
Okay.
That's a
field.
big one, but
That's all.
okay. All right, any
that's
questions
it.
on those?
Thank you, Dave. Easy.
Thank you.
That would have been-
Thank you, Gary.
All right, thank you, Gary.
guys. Have a good night.
Have a good night. Next up, we have Chief.
Ready?
Yeah.
How are you?
My God, so.
Phenomenal.
When it's before midnight, I can't believe it.
It's. both.
Yeah, good to see you, of course. Thank you. Yep.
Chief, it's great seeing you.
Nice to see you, Mike.
Good to see
So,
you.
while you're doing that, there was a nice
Welcome back.
Facebook post about you and the fire department last week. with the-
Busy.
Well, and,
busy.
but the child you took that was such a great move.
Yeah, well, you know.
Yeah, well, it's a traumatic experience and she gets to turn it into an amazing experience.
Once you guys around this table have that experience.
Yes, you into my house.
Talk to you guys about your flannel shirts.
Oh.
Oh, you have, Mike, I didn't even notice.
So, yeah,
that.
Dave had.
David does too.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Should have worn mine. I didn't get the memo, I guess. Yeah.
That's where my nephew, dad.
It's shape that I wrote.
That said,
Yeah.
I don't know.
yeah.
Although I don't know what this one technically is, but it's cool. All right, fire department, we'll jump in. You can go to the presentation. I'll also, if you want, at some point, throw up the slides and.
Yeah. So feel free to, butt in anytime. I'm trying to be respectful of people's time. Also, try to hit the points that are most important. So, just right here, the total emergency runs, we have a slight decrease in the last year. And one of the things that we do, we work really closely with the Council on Aging, the public health nurse, and also with the various residential programs around here. So we had a couple of residents in town that were calling 911 and going to the hospital sometimes 2 and 3 times a day. And so we worked with their programs to find more appropriate supportive housing for them. So that's one of the reasons of the little dip. But that's that. The roles of the fire department, I could have put like year after year after year. They're basically the same, around the same ballpark in numbers. So our main thing is to rescue and protect people in the event of emergencies and fires. We respond to hazardous materials calls, a lot of carbon monoxide now, to treat sick and injured people, to respond to car accidents and extricate if necessary, and to do education and fire prevention. So those numbers have, like, for years now, those are proportionately the same pretty much. Just so you know, that's our team. We've had we had a lot of turnover a little while ago, but we were pretty you can see like our people have a year and a half experience. But we've been doing really well now. We have David Ahern, who's a call firefighter. He'll retire this June because we are required to retire at 65. I think the next slide. Oh no, it doesn't. But
Can we ask questions as we go? Or
yeah.
How do you want
go
to
ahead,
do it? I was just curious, the experience, is that working for Topsfield or lifetime experience?
We're really lucky. The people that we have are our people. A lot of people live in town. And so the only person, Scott Winfrey remotely had some experience on Raleigh. But we're super lucky. We have John Brophy, who's a captain in PVD fire. But other than that, everybody else's experiences are, they're pretty much ours. As far as the full-time people, that's okay. The full-time people, a couple of them worked as call firefighters. Daniel Vano did work in Linfield for several years as a full-time firefighter. George works for Boston EMS, so he's on the fire department, but he works for the hospital system in Boston. So
those look like Topsfield experience.
yeah, those are that there is
Topsfield.
definitely Topsfield experience, and a couple
Experience.
of the people on the list have a little bit more.
They could have a lot more experience than just these numbers.
A few do.
Two or three of them do.
You
Yeah.
look at the John Brophy number, for example,
Yes.
that's definitely his Topsfield.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. He's great. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. So that's that, and then the next page just shows our organizational chart, and so that looks like
this, what I wanted to look at is there's myself, and then there's 4 groups of 2 people that work together every day. So that's how that, and then there's the call firefighters that fill in or come back on calls. So it's not necessarily that the call firefighters report to separate groups, but the main idea is there's 2 groups of 2 people that work 24 hours a day. They work 1 day on, 2 days off, 1 day on, and then 4 days off. So.
Questions?
That's just our, so showing that our full-time numbers have increased and our call numbers have decreased over the years. That's a nationwide trend, and just to show that we're continuing that, we'll have a few less call firefighters this year. So just to give you an idea where we're getting our staff from. Future challenges, these are the same challenges that we have had before. So our call volume continues to increase. We have more calls simultaneously. They're more complex. They last longer. We all know we're all aging, so our aging population is getting bigger. The building code and the fire code are constantly changing and trying to keep up with energy codes and all that. That takes a lot of work, a lot of education, and then a lot of teamwork with our building department and our inspectional services. We're competing for very limited. We just had Rowley just hired 16 full-time firefighters, so we're competing with a very, very limited workforce. The pool is getting smaller and smaller. People that are looking to do this job. This is oftentimes not a very glamorous or nice job to do. And then, in addition to all the emergency stuff we do, we still have to manage fire prevention inspections. And then do community education, and that's something like that where we had the little girl who recognized the fire in the house, like trying to translate that from classroom to actual action. So those are the challenges that we need to keep working on.
Jen,
Yes.
the enforcement of new fire codes.
Mhm.
Does an existing commercial building have to upgrade to meet the new fire codes? Or-
The answer is always, it depends. So it's always it depends. It really, if a change in use definitely kicks in. And so, you had some commercial buildings become residential, and then that might have to kick in. So it really, really depends. It depends on a lot has to do with the change in use under the building code. It's really the building code that defines that, and then we come along as support.
So you would be the fire inspector or your department?
Yes. Yep.
For the code?
Yep.
You'd have to keep up to date on the code?
We do. Yeah.
So if you have a new furnace put in.
Yeah, we come to,
Yeah, come
so
in.
getting an oil burner,
Yeah.
getting an oil tank taken out, we come and inspect that. Yeah. That's part of your oil company or your gas company. They pull a permit to do that.
Right.
So that's that. I should keep along with this. I had a lot more notes on all those, but we'll just go on. So here we're just looking at the ambulance revenue at year over year. And you all know that we established a stabilization fund so that 25% of the ambulance revenue goes into the stabilization fund for to be designated to different equipment. And so we've noticed a little bit of a drop in revenues. We're estimating about 13% in a drop in revenues. And so we knew that like with only 2 people working, there's a limited amount of money we can bring in. So we're kind of finding that spot in the region. A private ambulance company has done a lot of work with their mutual aid agreements, and different communities around us have switched to different private vendors. So there's been a lot of activity in the private ambulance world, which is good in a way because it's covered. We're not having to go to other places and help out as much. So they're having better luck with their own services. But those are the year to date. We should be getting any minute now. We should be getting our January revenues, and then every year we fill out. There's Massachusetts knows that there is a tremendous gap in the cost of providing services versus what we're reimbursed from Mass Health for Medicaid. So they have a program. It's for fire department in Massachusetts ambulances, or if you had a third party like the town of Rockport used to have a Rockport ambulance, that you can fill out paperwork and it looks at all your expenses and your costs. and it tries to bridge that gap with Mass Health. So historically, that's been about $20,000 to $25,000 a year extra that we've been able to get at the end of the year for doing that work. And so
I just pause. That effort is for $23,000. Every penny counts. Is one of the hardest grants that we have to apply for. We do it annually and CHIEF is successful, but there's so much reporting and going through the paperwork to get the numbers and actually come up with what our costs to run that ambulance service is. So I just don't want to undersell, because I know it's part of the conversation, how much work goes into that particular one for the chief.
What does CPE stand for? Is that what that?
yes, I know it's not, I know it's a P and not an R, but it's something like cost recovery. I'll look it up.
That's what you're talking about here, though.
Yep, it's to do with Mass Health and Medicaid. And so the majority of our billing is Medicare in Topsfield, but we do have a pretty good population of Medicaid and Mass Health as well. So it'll be interesting. The insurance world, as you guys all know, is super changing right now, and it'll be really interesting to see what happens with people that aren't renewing their healthcare. So,
Okay, so ultimately a 13% drop means that we're probably back to about $550,000 or so in projected revenue for this coming year.
Without any changes to operation.
yeah, and so we'll see. It's we're relatively new in this, so we'll see how that plays out.
Just a comment, you won't see that in the budget. Right, that's not in the budget, the revenue that's in.
Because we don't have an enterprise account.
And totally, that's a kid, I don't know, when I think of the fire department, I say, well, this, and then I chop off that revenue to say.
That's your offset.
That's sort of the size.
There. Do you put it in 25% that goes to stabilization?
I just look at the whole, this is just broad, this isn't what we're going to detail.
But the point being is off of that, so it's 50, it's off of last year, or revenues from a year ago. It's over $120,000 less to the general revenues.
We'll say though, with the project Emerson,
that's about 100.
we have 45 units of senior affordable housing units. Just by its nature, I think we can expect there'll be some additional calls and need for calls that could offset some of these.
3-4 years from now, when it's installed. Right. All I'm talking about is this year, there's $130,000 or $100,000 hole. If you were compared to last year in revenue into the general fund.
In 2 years.
I think it's more.
What's that?
2 years.
500 and.
What was 500?
So 13% drop off of the 630.
Okay. All right.
Means you're dropping down by $130,000 or so. Well, no, less than that. Well, you're saying 43,000 times 12 is $530,000 a year. You're making 520, and 520 from 630 is 110. 75% of that is $80,000. That hole in the revenue.
We did increase some of our fees though, right? So that's going to increase some of those costs.
You can later on. We can explain where it is. But I just want to start with we're at an $80,000 on the revenue side down from into the general fund.
This is driven by fewer runs, Jen?
Fewer runs.
Oh no, I don't.
Well, what's driving the drop?
We're not really sure. The month of June revenue was really down. I'm sorry, the month of July, I think it was 30,000. So, it wasn't that June was really slow. So I'm not really sure. And that's why we were kind of like, there's also a lag in ambulance billing. And just say if you got arrested for an OUI, we might not see that, your insurance company is not going to pay right away for your care in the ambulance. And so that's going to all have to get settled. So like there's oftentimes complicating factors that make it that you're not reimbursed for quite a while.
How about the average number of runs for January? Did that drop 13%?
No, I don't think so. I can go back and look at that, but
yeah, but whatever product delivered.
Yeah, but I do. It was it was clear that it was in the beginning of in the beginning of the fiscal year, so July, and then, you know, the last month was more like our usual, so, so, and then, one of the things that I had kind of looked at was that where,
Was this on the right side?
Yep.
Yeah.
yeah, if you're talking about revenue that we could be generating, because of our staffing model, we give away a certain number of calls because we can't do 2 calls at once. So, I just wrote here, I went back and looked at fiscal year 23, 24, and 25. And so our average, profit, if you will, per call last year was $764. So just looking at that's potential revenue that goes to the ambulance that transports a person. So that's just something to keep in
So
mind.
these were runs you couldn't make,
Correct.
somebody else made.
Correct.
But the flip side of it is you also did some runs
At that same time.
with other towns, helping them out.
Yes.
Mutual aid,
Yes.
you know, so it's kind of a wash
Um,
from an efficiency standpoint.
Pick up more than they do. right?
yeah. I mean, we're still, when we go to their community, we're getting the money for it.
Correct.
So, but we're pretty widespread. We don't go to one place or the other more than we go to, we go to Ipswich and Middleton quite a bit. So, Ipswich, it's a private vendor. So, I just thought it was an interesting way to look at it.
What would be very interesting is overlay the out of town revenue at the same time. You know, see if they match or relatively close.
Yep.
But the mutual aid is obviously a wonderful system, I think.
It is.
independent.
It shouldn't have,
There's
right?
no way
Your-
any of the small,
If your average runs the same from either community, and if foregoing that, the revenue should basically be pretty close to a one. Yeah.
That was my,
so here, just looking at, with the town accountants that helped too, we went through our, that 25% that we put in the ambulance stabilization fund and, kind of plotted out what could it be used for the fire department to help on the, to offset, capital equipment. So, you'll see for, this coming year, we have a replacement of our squad on there paid for out of this. Next year, next fiscal year, we were supposed to have, 200 and something $1,000 in the capital plan for, replacement of our air tanks. So the tanks that we wear when we go into fires, but we're lucky enough, we got a grant for those. They arrived last week, and so that can come off of the capital plan for the town. And for us, we had to pay 10% of the cost of the $180,000. So it's an amazing savings for the town. And then moving forward, in fiscal year 28, we'll end up replacing that Suburban that I have. And then to the fiscal year 29, there's nothing planned. And then saving for fiscal year 30, which will be replacement of our ambulance number 1. So that's kind of the thing we're trying to save towards looking at in fiscal year 35 will be to replace the 2010 engine that we have. So that will be in 2035, hopefully.
I like that you're looking that far up.
Yeah, I think it's good.
I like that
Yep.
you're
Yep.
looking at that. That's great.
It's nice to have a department with record.
Yeah.
It's just humorous that when Jen was showing this the first time, because I was FY35, and she looked at me and said, and neither of us is.
It is true.
4 year?
35, yeah.
Well, you both are still gonna be.
No, but I meant,
maybe
it
not
just
these
in the
roles.
role, so that was.
You're still
Got
counting.
something else.
Yeah, right, it was
Yeah.
just a
Um,
bit of humor levity.
Yeah, no, that's a good point.
Special.
so
FY 35 is also when the pension becomes fully funded. And that
oh,
money-
see.
That came quick.
Yeah, it's coming quick, isn't it? It's like,
All right.
and then we go all in on OPEB.
Yeah, then we go to PFAS.
Yeah. All right.
Okay, so for capital equipment for fiscal year 27, we have the replacing squad 1, which is being paid for out of the ambulance stabilization fund. That's a 2013 Ford F-350 pickup truck. which we make into a brush truck for the spring, summer and fall. So, it has, we have overweighted it with the water for the brush, so we'll be looking at an F-550, anyway, ambulance stabilization fund. We're looking to replace our compressor, which is what fills up our air bottles. In our compressor, I was just looking at the paperwork. We used, the supply tanks for that are from our 1995 ambulance rescue that we had that had a cascade system on it to fill bottles. So I don't know, another person in charge made, that's how they made our compressor. So that's really old. So we're looking to a Senate earmark for that. We've talked about that. And so that's not from the budget. And then, because of the sale of School Ave, we have no place to put our mission ready stuff so that our ice rescue equipment, our boat, our light tower, things that we need to have right away. So this is not my area of expertise. But I had originally talked to some people and, talked about $80,000 as being, a pretty simple unheated building to put out behind the fire station. I did end up talking to a Topsfield resident that is in the business of building buildings. And there's a really good potential that he has a building to give us. And so I need to work with the building inspector and the conservation agent because we have to be really specifically put on our property. We have a lot of buffer zone around us. And we're also in the historic district, so I need to work with them to try to see if that's a possibility. So, yes.
Size?
I was looking at 30 by 30.
Yeah.
The building that he has is, I believe, is 30 by 50.
That's okay.
If you're putting a building where you currently park vehicles, I'm not sure, in the buffer zone, if that affects, you're already using the buffer zone for the vehicles. If you just put a roof over it, I don't know how that affects the conservation commission.
It does.
Thinking.
It does.
Just throwing it out.
Yeah, I'll spend, I talked to Jackie. Jackie gave me some maps, but I'd rather go with her and look at the lot specifically because I think a lot is going to change in that footprint behind us. And where they have the building that they're proposing, the walking space for the green.
Oh, the path, the greenbelt?
Greenbelt, thank you. So all that stuff is happening behind us. And so that's another saving. So that 80,000 is potentially doesn't need to be there. It might be a small amount of site work or something like that, or the electrical. So I have to just finish up with them on that.
Can you give us a little more information? Sorry to interrupt. On the squad car,
Yes,
the condition of it?
2013.
Yeah. Miles.
Frames and that.
It's F-350. Yeah, it's the bed is broken. The bed has the cross members for the bed have broken because of the weight of the water that we carry in it. So and then because of the weight in the water, it requires more frequent breaks and things like that. So that's the main thing. The bed's coming off it.
As I think the chief explained to me.
Did you take a look at it, Mike? You're the liaison.
But it's under spec. The equipment's under spec the amount of water it's carrying. That's
where I was headed, because originally it was F-350.
Yeah.
And I just heard F-550.
It would have to be a bigger suspended. So if you go back a long time ago, we had a mini pumper. So we had that we traded in, and we're not talking about that, but that was what we used for our brush truck.
Okay.
So especially given what we've had to do with brush in the last few years, it's important that we have a truck that can go off road, four-wheel.
I looked at this.
350 is only going to let you do 250 gallons. That's not going to put any fire out.
That's the fundamental issue of that truck is it was under spec for.
Once you get to a 350 though, there's an advantage. It's higher. If you're going off road, you need that higher capability to go over stumps.
You got to go to the 550.
I was just in Australia with the bushfires just burned, so that's the other thought I had.
Just let it burn.
Let it go. Yeah.
So
We're gonna start over.
Hold that in the middle.
We're gonna start-
Yeah. But they didn't like it.
No, it's a bad joke. I
Yeah.
remember on TV.
this is
All right.
all-wheel drive, Jen?
It's 4-wheel drive.
Yeah.
Four-wheel drive.
Yeah, yeah.
So this is a 550 now,
Mhm.
liaison, right?
Yeah, so it's 550 and here's, so the conversation I have with Jed is the town, what you have is based on what your risk adjusted response is gonna be. And so if you want to keep the risk adjusted
Yeah.
response to what it is currently, this is the truck we need as a town.
Correct. Do you
If the
keep,
town wants to make a decision to not have it, then it's another discussion. As a liaison, I go and saying, not what I would like to take it, but where I think what's reasonable given current standard is.
Yeah.
Well said.
and this responds not just to brush fires in the
It
woods.
actually responds on every call
Correct.
because it carries people and equipment.
Right.
So it goes on almost every single call that we have. Right now, you'll see, if you see it at the station, it has an ice rescue sled on it. So it's a sled that we can put on ice or water that you can work as a platform to help
Right.
people. So,
So the water tank in the back is seasonal, right?
correct, yeah, yep.
Got it.
So that's one of the things that's kept in that school app, so.
So we'll separately talk storage buildings, and at the end of the day, the budgets for the requests for storage buildings because of School Ave, and School Ave has great other benefits, but seem to be coming in greater than the money we got for School Ave.
So we'll never receive the dollar in real estate taxes, which will start having the
Yeah.
new growth components, the permit fees that we're gonna obtain, plus the revenue off the restaurant food taxes that we'll receive. Plus the unvalued, but definitely a value of having a restaurant in the downtown.
Oh, yeah. Oh,
It's gonna bring
totally.
people from an economic
Understood.
development standpoint that, the cost benefit from a straight dollar perspective, I think there is a payback.
Yeah. Yeah.
Certainly, and I think that, the value of having the restaurants, significant, so.
Sure, but that's not a fire department issue.
Right, that's why I said
That's why I
related.
said-
I just wanted to
So the
get,
hope is,
Yeah.
we have talked about speccing out and pricing out what the cost will be to have
A big
a
lifted
appropriate
moved.
2-bay storage facility on site.
Yeah.
We do have the potential of, we've had someone offer to possibly donate a steel framed facility, that we can use, be hopefully nominal cost associated with, little add-ons and potentially the cost of installation, which would be great. And then the only other one's the rail trail shed, which we'll cover that later.
okay,
And then the last thing is, engine 3. I know, Mike came in with his mag light and I sent him walking.
yeah,
The ultrasound.
Yeah, so wait, don't stop yet.
Yeah.
But, so anyway, engine 3 is a 2010 pumper, carries 750 gallons of water. It's our first line pumper. During the preventative maintenance that we had this year, they said you have to have the frame evaluated. It's got rust, big chunks of rust coming off. Big chunks of rust. They brought them to me, put them on the desk. I saw them. So the big chunks of rust. So I had that done 2 years ago, and we had the frame sprayed with some material to protect it. And so I felt strongly that I was told that the frame was in danger, so I wanted to have it evaluated. That's done by ultrasound. It was really hard to find someone. First of all, I had to find a place to take it that would take the wheels off of it so that they could evaluate the frame by ultrasounding a bunch of spots in it. So that's why I had put 100,000, because I didn't know. I know that the city of Beverly is doing $400,000 rebuild on one of their ladder trucks, because compared to the price of a several $1 million ladder truck, it makes sense.
Absolutely.
So I put that. Anyway, the frame wasn't as bad as they thought. I worked with Cody's in Lawrence. They were really helpful and they were able to prepare it because the ultrasound person came from Florida, which is, it's all crazy. Just waiting for the written quote from Cody's to fix the frame, sand it, strengthen the area that's a little bit rusted, repaint it, put that solvent over it, and then also work on the drop chains, which are for in snow. Cody's estimates that's 15,000. So that if we don't do anything, let's say we don't do anything, that we were the exact same thing happened to us with engine 2, which is a 2000 pumper, and about 10 or 12 years ago, we had the back end of it rebuilt for $19,000. Because it was rusted, and it is now, it's 2026, and so it's a 26-year-old truck that it didn't have a fatal disaster. So the hope is that we make it to 2035 with this engine 3 after doing this work to it. So
Question, Jen, is it worth periodically doing ultrasound to see where it stands? If it's not expensive to do the ultrasound, once the corrosion gets deep, you're in trouble.
yeah, I think I think probably periodically it's not a bad idea. I don't think I would do it every year.
I know, maybe every couple of years
Yeah, I
or
don't think that's
something.
a bad idea. Also, like our new engine that's coming is double frame, double, it's double walled, so it's much stronger. And so is this engine. So they did. I mean, it's New England. It's a tough weather for trucks. But so that's it. So really, for capital this year, we have the from the budget we have the engine 3, and then we'll see with the building.
Okay.
So. And then the last one I had put just, we had like just keeping track of the grants that we have and so we had the revenue from the ambulance side, but we've done a lot of work with the town and a lot of good work with the people in the town, for some pretty cool grants that we've gotten, and, just kind of highlight the extra additional revenue in the last 2 years that we brought into the town.
This is 2 years?
Yes, sir. Yeah.
Not much money.
Yeah, we've been really fortunate. We got $170,000 grant to redo the playground on Grove Street to make it ADA accessible. I mean, that was amazing. That came out, it really came out well. So that's that. And then in my budget,
Just,
yes.
this is an impressive number.
Yeah.
Shay, I think, if we had this kind of number for the rest of the town.
Yeah.
Something in your introduction at
Yeah.
town meeting, I would throw out, boy.
Hold
So
that.
it was
and
actually
think
just
about that.
requested about a month ago from member Mercia Link to
Okay.
find that information. We have it. Town accountant was able to pull the grant accounts.
Good.
I don't have it off the top of my head. It's in my inbox.
No, it's all right. Sure.
I'm sure we can find
Somebody
it in a
else
matter-
already beat me.
We can find it in a matter of seconds, I'm sure.
Good.
Just so do you talk about the yellow, this one too?
Yeah, I'm pulling it up right now.
Yeah, I got my.
Yeah, well, you got it.
Yeah.
I have the one
You
comment
gotta go out. So, left mine home.
about 0%.
Shit, it's small.
Oh, yeah. So,
But I'll
Yep.
ask if you don't want me to.
no, that's okay. I can just say
Yeah.
that. So
Okay.
if you're looking at our budget right there, our top of our budget is at 0% now because, all my contract, the call firefighters and the full-time firefighters contracts are all, up for negotiation. And we're really looking at the distribution of our workload and how best to utilize the resources that we have. So we'll come back with more information on that, but especially the full-time firefighters have already started negotiations. The call firefighters are looking for dates, but so we'll be back with more for that. But right now, I don't know. It would be guessing to say what the changes would be.
And the expectation is that's when the salary reserve number.
We have some money aside for
Yeah.
covering the costs.
Yeah.
And just to emphasize that point, every year, Chief and I and Amanda, we talk about maximizing our resources available for the fires. We've grown, right? And that's a direct result of the ambulance. Talked about some of the revenue loss in a prior slide. And so we're having some very honest conversations about what operations and how they look, and if there's opportunities to generate more revenue by making more runs, and what the makeup of the organization, the fire department should look like. So I'll leave it at that because of where we are with the CBA negotiations.
So is that conversations related to this budget or a future year budget? This budget. So these numbers here, we're probably going to want to come back and discuss because something has to be here before the end of March.
No, so typically if we don't have a contract.
Okay, so you're talking about within the.
It's all taken care of, yeah.
Yeah.
We have that accounted for.
Yeah.
I suppose it'd be wrong to ask what's the number of the
Yeah,
salary
you
reserve.
can't, you can't do that.
Yeah.
unfortunately.
So,
But what would be interesting for us, and I get it, and it's tough, and I think even for us, we can go into an executive session because you're dealing with negotiations, we could argue it. I'm only emphasizing this, if you're talking about changing the structure of the department. If it's just budgetary stuff, we shouldn't be involved. But if you're talking about ongoing future expense due to change of budget, I think we ought to have something to be informed of.
Executive session that, if it's related.
Because it's a contract, yeah.
But it's not related to the contract per se.
Well,
If it's related to budget, if it's related to contract, yes. If
Yeah.
it's just talking about allocation of funds and where the resources are going, that's not an executive session.
But it's tied to negotiations of the budgets,
Is
of the CDAs.
So management rights on the makeup of the organization. And I don't want to get too much into it in the moment, we can talk. But,
Okay.
reality is that there's some limitations of what we can go into executive session for and
Yeah.
can't. And I don't know if we have a qualifier per se, based on what we're talking about at the moment.
Okay.
But what we're looking at is maximizing our existing resources and allocation, and ensure that we get the most output from every dollar we spend.
Okay.
I'll leave it at that. Sorry.
All right. So we can look at it and assess, but I mean, on that aspect.
Just an update, Jen, the new boiler and the,
well, yeah, I'm glad you said that. Yeah. So version 2 versus version 1, I changed some more things. I met with Amanda, talked about some of the things. So originally I know that when we were at the select board meeting, Chair Raphael McDonald was talking about, like, something seemed to have happened in last year, like the gas, electric, they're really high. And so I was kind of projecting that, but I just had Sulamese run my year-to-date budget with the updated gas bills in it. And I do think, because we put in a new boiler, like, it's much, much smaller. It's almost like your regular house boiler. Before, we had an enormous boiler to take up a room. So I think it's more efficient, and so that's why I took the extra money I had put in out of
the other
that.
thing is you put in heat pumps, so you're not pulling from the gas boiler.
Yep.
Until it drops lower, so.
Yep. So
technically, it's a great economic solution, but I don't know if that was totally, I think, Kevin, when you did that spreadsheet, you considered some of that.
Yeah, and we ended up, so therefore I didn't ask for increase in electric or gas. Ultimately, I did in water because it's based on actuals.
Well, just to clarify, there was a request for additional funding in those accounts, but since when we did the select board process after the budget was spent, reduced a total of 6,000. We'll get to 3,000 now, but 3,000 was requested additional for utilities that came off. So there was an adjustment made, a cut made.
It went soon.
Because I also, like, in looking back, in even looking today at the numbers for gas today, as long as it starts to warm up soon, we're doing all right. And then I did a lot of moving around of things, like, I haven't hired new people for a while, so in using to kind of offset some of the other costs, I used the monies from that. And then ultimately, I should be able to cut my Verizon account very shortly. And so I just, in using those monies as in other places where they're necessary. The only other thing I asked for was $3,000 for increase in medical supplies, just because the cost of those medical supplies is going up. But other than that, the water, the medical supplies, and I have on there for my admin and the personnel bylaws,
And we did also, that was the second area, was the billing. We had 3,000 for that we then took off at last phase of the budget process. Just
based on actual, so
it's a $6,000 cut from the budget. This year.
So here it is. Any questions?
Yeah, training.
Mm-hmm.
When we hire somebody and we pay for the training, do we have any guarantee they'll stay with us for a period of time? This is the same as the police, isn't it? Isn't there a mechanism where you can
Laterals.
rope them in?
Laterals. So you pull someone from another department who's already trained.
That's what Neil does, right? It never trains new people.
That's exactly it. And when you have a great reputation and people see what we're doing, that's when you're able to do that, and that's something we strive for.
Yeah, now,
But we look to hire the best possible person.
now the flip side of that, not that you're hiring them in at a higher rate, because you're not,
David, what did
Yeah,
Neil
well,
tell us?
yeah.
What did Neil tell us? New officer
They all have
costs
the
like
same
$250,000.
oh, FF1's,
There's no
Something
steps or
crazy.
grades.
oh, they're okay.
Everyone gets a fixed rate.
Oh,
that number.
I guess I missed that.
So I personally think that Topsfield is always gonna be a regional airline for fire departments. I think there's people gonna come in here, they're gonna get trained, and then they're gonna see a full-time job somewhere that's fire only or something like that, and they're gonna jump there. That's my own, if I think about something, we seem to train people. They take care. I've seen them up close and personal, right? But I think sometimes they tend to go off to,
So,
Salisbury posts, 2 firefighters, no ambulance.
And one of the highest paid in the state. So one of the
Yeah.
things is, obviously, everybody's
Yeah.
looking, they do tend to look
Right.
at 2 things. One,
Right.
quality of life, where you're working, and what's your
Mhm.
compensation. And I think in the last CBA, we made some good strides to be competitive based on market analysis from compensation. And so since our last CBA, I don't think we've had anybody, we've had people come in, some lateral, which is nice too.
what's the training? Just new employee training. Were you paying their salary while they're there, and you're paying for the school, right?
No, it really depends. It depends, it always does. But, most of the people that are coming in here are already firefighter 1, 2 certified. So the last person that we hired, was not a paramedic, who's EMT.
Okay.
So he's going to paramedic school, he's paying for his tuition, we pay for his time when
Yeah.
he's at school. And obviously I have to pay for someone to cover him on the,
Right.
if he has
Right,
school
we
in
gotta
the
pay
day.
overtime for somebody to cover it.
Well, and so when he's at school,
Mhm.
how many hours is it from the day she or he is hired to the day that you paid at school? How many hours of school would be paid of their hourly wage? 500?
No, it's probably like 1,200. It's a
1,200,
lot, yeah.
okay.
It's a lot.
So half a year, so you're talking $30,000 plus
Mhm.
a year. Okay,
Plus benefits.
well, the benefits you're still paying anyway, I mean, because the overtime is what you're, the incremental cost is the person that's covering for that role, which is the
Right.
overtime cost. Everything else is already there.
Right.
So it's another half again, so it's $45,000.
The numbers Michael and I got from Neil from the police, considerably higher.
That was huge.
If they had to hire and train a new person, it was.
Yeah, we've been very lucky that we haven't had to, do that from ground. The
Ground
beginning.
zero, yeah.
Sometimes you have to call fire.
Yeah, yeah.
All right, any other questions? From a budget perspective? No? Anything else other than to say thank you again, as we always do, for the great
You're
service that
welcome.
you all provide.
Thank you, chief.
It is nice having you all and the firefighters in town. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Chief.
Yeah, stop by anytime. Call us if you need us.
Just don't crawl underneath the vehicle.
No, not,
Not needed.
no, and,
We'll get it.
Don't let your vents, lots of problems with,
Yeah.
ice dams right now, chimneys, lots of chimney problems.
Ice dams are gonna come in big problem if they really does what it's supposed to do next. week.
Really?
Water, it's not just or it's gonna get over, like, figure out when you got it.
Yeah, I've got them down there. I throw a ladder up, I have to go up and throw them up. I don't have.
What do you throw up there?
The wires.
Oh, yeah.
I used to
I don't
go
have them.
double, but.
Well,
It was one of the stop, but you go.
ice rate.
I said, well, no.
Yeah,
you
yeah,
didn't do
yeah.
that. No, I thought-
We hooked it up to the,
My
we
hot.
hooked the hose up to the hot water on the washing machine upstairs.
Hey, that's.
All you have to do is drip it too. That's what I did.
Yeah.
My old man dripped it above the ice dam and let it go underneath it.
Yeah, and it'll just slowly.
It was like.
Cause it worked much better than the hatchet.
Hot water from the washing
uh,
machine, the hose to it is out the window. It's unbelievable.
I got, my wife texted me, I wanted water inside the house today.
Oh,
Did you?
yeah, so you go up
That
above
sucks.
it and come back down.
Right.
And so that slow, no, you don't want to do too much water because
Yeah.
it'll
Make it work.
work. But if you do a nice stream of water,
Just drip, drip, drip.
it'll drill a hole right through the ice.
Right underneath in a big chunk of ice.
A lot of water issues.
I used to go to that.
Yeah.
I'm here, I'm like, I'll see you later.
You pull out the hot water valve of your
Hot water.
washing machine, because that's the only one that you can really, or unless you're,
Thank you.
unless the relief valve off of the heater or your hot water system is right there.
That's what I
Pull it
did.
off of that and run a hose all the way up onto the roof. And slowly, you don't want to overdo it, but you slowly do it and it'll drill a hole right through the water. In a span of probably 15 minutes.
You guys need anything?
Thank you,
Thank you, thank you. We got, yeah, okay. Have a good night. So the last thing we had on our agenda other than, or we're gonna do today, other than, the housekeeping stuff is, running the warrant. At this point, my goal is still to be out of here done by 9. Okay? That is not gonna be, Kevin is committed to me that is gonna be on you all. That doesn't mean you shouldn't ask questions. Just don't ask them a second time.
Speed dating.
All right, go ahead. I'm gonna pull it up while we do it. That's the one I haven't.
So on Saturday, I sent out a revised version 4.01 of the warrant. We've had some iterations prior to 3, which I sent out to the finance committee as the first version that you've had. Select boards reviewed that, got to a place where 3 was good to send out, 4 is better. So this is the most updated one. Reminder, anything highlighted is either old legacy language from last year that needs to be updated or just general templated language that it by no means has been reviewed or is even discussed, just something as a little general placeholder. So Article 2 is pretty much is what it is at this point. We know what our cable peg fund dollars for the budget looks like. Confident that number is not going to be something we're going to look to change. So that 55,232 is good. We also have a new contract on the cemetery services of $42,200. We're breaking that up between the 3 cemetery accounts to cover this. Sorry, I'm going top, bottom, top, but cemetery revolving account, perpetual. We came up with those numbers based on the balances and what would be appropriate to put into those accounts. And then the Conservation Commission, you'll notice in the omnibus, they do not have a budget, but they do use our supplies. So they give us based on their revenue they generate. And Article 2 would transfer to the offset our general costs. And so last year was $1,000. Prior years has been 10,000. This year we're looking at 5,000 based on their balance. So that's a good number, and that then goes to offset Article 3 directly against that budget. We have a template hold of. I know we talked about the schools coming in on their operating budget at balance. We do anticipate at this time, and you saw the omnibus, we haven't balanced yet. And for the reasons we talked about, there's a lot of costs that have been building over the last few years around health insurance and pensions. Primarily, we've had 2 years of trash increases that amounted to 81% increase there as well over those three years. And we're sort of hit it. We've cut the budget in years prior significantly. There's not a lot of opportunity to find pockets to cover those costs. We're still working on what that will look like, but right now we know there's still some work that we need to do. And the budget that is presented is what it is through the select board process.
So can I interrupt?
Yeah.
With this article, historically, we have always had 2 parts to it, the town and the elementary school.
Right.
Why is it combined now?
So historically, until the last override, we combined the override into one vote for the base budget and the override. And those were for the schools previously. Last year, we broke it out into a motion A and a motion B, which carved out the base budget, which was the guideline, and then motion B, which was any additional money above the guideline. This year, 2.25% guideline is what's within the $275,000 of new money that is allocated by that 2.25% guideline, plus our costs is the base budget, and then driving predominantly from the shared cost of health insurance and pension from the schools in town. Although it's in our budget, it's a shared cost. It could go in their budget and it would be both of us asking for the override, but that's the reality. That's what we'll likely see in motion B if we need any additional money when the dust settles. And so it isn't changing. It's basically the same as we did last year. And it's not allocated based on school or town. That's in the descriptive piece of it typically, is how we've typically written the prior articles. So it is consistent, I guess, the best way to answer the question.
I didn't think it was. I thought that we voted on their own budget and then their override. I thought there were three parts to Article 3 last year.
No, base budget included town and school last year, and then the override, because it was driven based on the
Yeah.
school's cost, was motion B, the 900 and change that they asked for, including the 202, which was for the curriculum built into that.
Yeah. I agree with you though. I think the override should be separate. If it's a school override, town override.
Well, this one's combined because it's health insurance and pension and other costs as well. And so it's in the
I
description.
don't- We'll have to talk about that.
So-
Well, the wording on the warrant.
So the health insurance, okay, go ahead, you guys, keep,
Well. Sorry.
go ahead.
So you touch on an issue that I think's been bubbling along for a long time. And we're actually closer to what you want in the past, but we've always given the schools a lower base budget than the town and put overrides on the schools and the town stuff goes on. Last year, I think the town budget went up quite a bit, but was masked by in the school stuff. And
I don't know that I agree with that comment, but what I want to go back to,
okay,
we can talk it through a
Yeah, we
little
can
more.
talk, we can sort of talk it through,
Please,
so just kind of like look at that.
Motion B, recommend the town vote to raise and assess and appropriate an additional sum of $891,075 to fund the additional portion of the elementary school
Right,
proposed budget. So it's explicitly called out what its purpose was for.
right.
And it was explicitly put on the school's shoulders.
Right.
This one, I get it. You're looking and saying, well, there's some of this that is allocated to things that the town is covering for the schools. But I would say that I think it needs to be called out somehow. With the wording needs to be similar to this, explicit to its purpose. And I'm not sure that what I see and read in this saying for additional of the proposed budgets, I'm not sure of the contingency.
Yeah, what happens if this one fails?
I have to cut whatever difference for pension and
Yeah.
healthcare out of my budget. Or do an
So
STM.
this is for healthcare and pensions.
Predominantly, vast majority of it will be. And that's, as we talked about, health insurance is the biggest of the two. Health insurance is going up, whatever the number is today, but it's been about $1 million the last 3 years. I know pensions come in at 145, so I think health insurance will come in probably close to about $500,000.
How would we do that? How would we cut it?
Cut what?
Saying if it didn't pass.
I've already done it. I've already done it. So basically what we're looking at is, we're a placeholder for health insurance right now.
Yeah,
Pensions, we know. And basically that's gonna amount to probably about 100 plus above the guideline for health insurance is when you blend. Because we got news that from a cost standpoint, that the cost is gonna go down likely on our percentage increase.
12.35% and 12.75% for,
Sitting here today without getting a number from the provider technically at
Sure.
this point, we know half of 6 months of retirees at 19.5%. We know that for 6 months. We don't know what the back 6 months will look like, and we don't know what a full year, fiscal year will look like for active employees. And so we're putting in their best guess estimates at the time. Right now, I think we're holding like 13% in the omnibus version 2, which is about 2% greater than what the guideline was that was given. Amounts to about $60,000 right there in real cost, real dollars. It could be greater. It's to be determined once that number comes in. We're holding an 8.5 in that estimate but it could be a 9, could be 9.5, could be 8. But we're waiting to see what that number comes in. We also pulled back, usually we do 4 family plans and 2 single health coverage plans as sort of a buffer every year. That's pretty consistent. It's a good conservative estimate budgeting. We drew that down to 2 single plans and 2 family plans. And so there is the conversation, like as we get a little later, when we see what the number comes in at, do we get a little more conservative with that as well, just to make sure that we don't find ourselves in a bad spot with health insurance down the road.
would you change the contribution from employees?
No,
Like, you know what I mean? Like,
No.
if.
the only way you can go, Heidi, is we put more money into it and offset the town employees' costs, and that's not happening.
Right, so,
We're at the minimum that by statute that we can offset the health insurance, have the health, the, correct me wrong, we can't go below 2/3 funding. That's what the state requires us to.
I don't know if it's MGL related. I
Yeah,
know that once you create that status of the number, if you try to go down, it's negotiable, collective
But I-
bargaining wise. If you go up, they'll take it.
But I think we
Middleton
had,
just costs hundreds of, they're going for a second override in 2 years. They just bumped theirs to like 75% coverage. And I was like, why are you doing that? They're like, okay, good luck.
I'm pretty sure, I cannot remember this, back in 15 or 16, we changed and adopted rule 30 something. MGL, and what it did was it took bargaining out. So all we had to do was notify them 30 days with 30 days that a plan was changing. You didn't collectively bargaining the health insurance. However, with that first thing, any savings, they got 25% of any savings back to them the first year.
That's a change plan, not split, I believe.
That's any change to the plan. But then I have to look back. But then the other thing it said was that it also, I'm pretty sure it had a floor to what percentage.
Is that like a trade-off?
Yeah, type of thing. It was like there was a floor in the law. So I got to find the law. It's
I guess go back to the question at hand though, is that the vast majority of our costs, like what's referencing here. So anytime you do an override, when you call it out for a school, that money goes to, in theory, it doesn't have to, but in theory, that's what someone's voting on to make sure that they're getting that override to set the bar for the next year for their starting point. What we're saying here is general operations, because in theory, you raise the levy, next year you could say, town, you're getting negative, school's getting positive, double all yours and then some. So by saying general, I don't want to call out a town because the reality is that the vast majority of the costs, whether operationally or not. So I'm just saying, I'm using language right now that just says general override. So it's not saying school, it's not saying town, it's just saying general, so that it sets the bar in health insurance, which we pulled out as sort of a general, you find it?
32B.
So Kevin, if the override passes at 650,
It's not gonna be that high, just for what it's worth.
okay, whatever it
The
is.
override number.
Will the plan to tax to the full levy limit, or will there be some excess there?
See that,
Planning for excess for
So-
future.
fully transparent, that is some of the discussions that the select board are happening right now is a lot of towns, when they come in for overrides, especially ones who don't come in often, they will build in capacity on your levy.
Yeah.
So they can say, listen, we're gonna build in enough capacity. We know we have a very strong feeling health insurance will be 15% again next year, probably the year after that. And those are gonna be costs that are, we want to plan for.
Yeah.
We want to create the levy capacity, but we're only gonna tax you up to this number.
Yeah.
So say the number when everything dust settles is $290,000. That's what's needed to balance the books.
Yep.
You could say, in theory, we're gonna double that. We're gonna go 600 or 650.
Yep.
And create that much capacity, but we're not gonna bill you that, but
Right.
we're not gonna necessarily have to come back next year. The risk is that twofold in my mind. One, it's confusing. Like you're asking for X amount of money, but you're not gonna ask me for it. Like, how does that work? And you're planning for, but it does happen. Like most communities actually do that. I mean,
Yeah.
there's a lot of.
That's what was kind of like what I thought you were doing here, knowing that health insurance is gonna continue to keep increasing, right?
Right.
So you're gonna want that excess capacity at some point.
I mean, yes. I mean, the reality is that if you do build in levy capacity, this is sort of the second point. And say health insurance is a crazy number next year and we can't make it work. We need to come back for another couple 100,000. That's disingenuous too. Like, hey, you raised it, you didn't build, but now you're coming.
Right.
So there's these sort of like really, we've never had one. I've never had an override. We've never, likely anyone here, because there's been some time, Heidi's analysis showed it's been about a couple decades probably since the town's actually asked for an override in any capacity.
And the last time it did, it failed.
Did it really?
And which is why the select board has been so
I think,
cautious.
and so, and I mean,
History.
and honestly, the town administrator too, and my staff, like every time we start our budget process, we start by saying no override. I mean, that's where we start to come from.
Yeah.
There just comes a point where, as I mentioned at the top, there's these costs that just keep building.
Right.
2.5 by its nature. Every town, sometimes cities, even with the new growth and the commercial components they typically have, they do have to come back and ask for more. And, it's proud of the work the team did because the vast majority of the number that we're looking for at this time, like I said, is uncontrollable. It's your health insurance, which is basically here's your number, and pensions, which is here's your number. And we're gonna have, I think next meeting that the FinCom has, Chuck Costa from the executive director for Essex County Retirement is gonna come and talk about that. Larry came last year, talked about health insurance, for Maya. But back to the point, great point, Tom. There's two schools of thought, and my board's split right now, to be honest with you. I mean, there's 5 of them, so it's not technically half and half, but there's enough dialogue happening right now that we said, let's move version 2 over. Let's keep the conversation going, work with our partners on the finance committee about some of the strategy. If we need to, at the end of the day, come in for that override, do we come in for the minimum of what, ask for the override to be what we need this year, not knowing what next year looks like, or do we potentially build the capacity? I honestly, at this time, I'm very interested to hear what the select board has to say in the finance committee, because it's really what you feel your neighbors in your community will support. And what's the best strategy going forward?
So I'm sorry, can I just?
Yeah, go ahead, Craig.
You may have said this already, I may have missed it, but if the override doesn't pass, have you already analyzed like what's gonna be cut on the other side of the budget?
Well, I'll tell you, there's 2 options. One, we'll make adjustments to the budget, come back to an STM, or we're gonna basically find a way to cut. I'm just using the number like $300,000 right now. That's multiple people.
Okay.
Just for full disclosure, I've had 2 select board members call me or ask me about this issue. I'll share what I shared with them. I then also called Kevin to let him know what they had asked me. And they asked me explicitly the act of adding additional money to the levy, not to the tax, but to the levy. And what was the FinCom's perspective, to which I said, well, I don't know, but I can tell you my experience and thoughts on both sides of that is I've seen scenarios where it's incredibly appropriate and the right thing to do. And an analogy I'd use is if you're going to go build a new rec building, and part of that rec building means that in 2 years, once you've built the building, you're going to need to staff it, then you should be asking for that money at the same time you're asking for the big bond to go build a building, because that's transparency, right? And there are situations like that that would make sense. And you have situations where I've seen other towns, and I'm trying to remember it, I mentioned earlier, one of the towns, I think it's one of the Reddings, but I may be wrong, where they went and said, no, this is an incremental institutional problem a few years ago that we needed to address, and this is what it's going to be, and we need to up the levy, but we won't use it. In both cases, what I've shared is that what you're really asking the town to do, and by town I mean the voters, to do, is to take and give their responsibility for next year up by committing to it this year. So in effect, you're saying instead of coming next year, and there may be planning reasons why that's appropriate, and you need to put those out there. But at the end of the day, the ask is town meeting, town members, please yield your ability to say yes or no next year and say yes this year. Right? And so you have to put together a case that is compelling for that. And then I did say that it's a case that you'd have to get through FinCom, and I'm not sure how that vote would go. All right. And I'm not trying to say yes or no. And I'm very careful not in saying that, very careful not to influence or predict what you all would say, but to give the perspectives of.
It's a real education to the public of what it means to put the override on this year at a certain amount and whether it will impact, like even in the description, it says it'll be $380. That's not necessarily the case if you're not going to tax them. So
right. So
but
I have to explain what that is. So it says that this year our levy, what we would tax you on the levy would equal $129 per household, which is the equivalent of $300,000 override.
And again, the fact that every year it's going up more than 2.5%, you're asking the present value of that future cost, and that's the reality, and it's,
Generally,
I'm not so
maybe-
sure it's,
and I'm sorry, maybe we can, just like you had said, in just showing a little table,
Yeah.
I would say that that's what we would do with something like this.
If it comes to it. I mean, at the end of the day, to be clear, the select board is mulling that over. I mean, they called me because they're mulling it over and thinking about it.
it's an interesting question because we've not, and it's really interesting because we're sort of setting the tone because we haven't done one of these on the town side. And, I generally where I just, like I said, I'm pretty open to listening and hearing what FinCom and Select Board has to say at the end of the day. Like, really want to be driven by that, but that is a hard narrative to try to create where you're trying to explain, like, giving up next year's ability to vote on it. Me being risk averse, I'm a little nervous that do we ask for enough, because something like what Middleton happened where they said we're not coming for 3 to 5 years literally last year, and now they have a $500,000 gap because some of the unexpected things hit. Like, things happen, right? So we can project pretty well. We do a really good job here, but like, you never really know. Like, health insurance come in 20% next year, and then what? And then, so that's sort of where I'm like, if you build the capacity and say we're not coming back next year, that's a tough pill to swallow.
I think on an override for the town, based on the health insurance and pension, would be straightforward. Everybody understand we don't have a choice. I don't think that would be a problem myself.
I disagree. I think you should put on the override what's gonna get cut if the override doesn't pass, and have that challenged. So that's the experiment I'd like to run. Okay, if we don't get it, cutting this and that.
Here's,
And now that is it's anathema to a lot of people that think about funding, but,
to that point, I mean, I think those are actually can be the same thing, though. I mean, not the same thing. They could be, that's the reason everything else went up at a normal rate. These are the two that didn't. If you don't vote for this, though, they're contractually obligated. So here are the things that
we have to cut, right?
that we have to cut.
Yeah, but
I think adding the
government is
informed piece
going
in.
up. And do we want to have less government or?
Yeah, and that's
Or
probably
pay
my
more money.
original question. I think we should show that.
It's a good discussion.
So as this,
Just caution you. Well, first of all, we're talking people, right? So like, that's real. Like, we have an organization where we want to make sure people feel supported, but realistically, people know, like, this is a tough year too, to be fair. I don't know. The other option is if you put that out there, if it's written down that if it doesn't pass this, that eliminates an STM where you might come somewhere in between and cut the budget down without coming in for another override, which the select board might want to do. I don't know. We haven't gotten there yet in the discussion. There's like that, if you put it out there and then it doesn't pass, then you're like, well, we can't have an STM now. And
We don't want to wordsmith it.
Yeah, so this is all good conversations.
it's really great.
Now we got to bring it forth. As this, we got, side note, we recognize we're doing this 5 meetings before.
Well, this is
we
great.
have to be done. 6
Then
meetings.
let's
So awesome. We're gonna keep going.
So Article 4, those are all have to be updated. We have to get through that budget. So 5, that one, I think we saw last week, they have another big number, enrollment shift for Topsfield plus operations, right?
Wait, yeah, however, I did look at the chapter 70 money. We're only picking up 18 basis points. So if Masco goes up 2.5%, we go up 2.68%.
That's not bad.
So we're not gonna get crushed.
I think the number I saw was 732 assessment for Topsfield. I think they have about 250,000.
I don't know what the Masco budget is, but I'm just saying we're not picking up because the minimum contribution, Oxford and Middleton went up a lot and ours went down up not so much. We're back in the game.
Yeah, no, it's actually the first blush where they're at with their budget. I saw very briefly the slide deck they posted. It was shared with my group chat with the other town administrators that basically pushed out Wednesday kind of quietly. And it showed a $732,000 cost to Topsfield, real dollars year over year. If you take into account how much we've allocated by the guidelines, we're around a $500,000 override today without any further cuts.
What's the Masco budget coming after what's there over last year? Is it 2.5%?
I'm just looking at Topsfield's assessment.
Well, it's, yeah, I mean, they're coming up with scenarios and it's, you know, it's, I mean, overall, they're trying to keep it at 3%, but it's 7.8% now, you know?
Okay, so if they keep it at 2.5, if they meet guideline, the enrollment shift is not gonna be a big hit to it.
Right, but I mean,
That's,
yeah, but
Okay, well,
yeah, and
that's a different issue.
actually, I need to
But Jay
see
said 1% or less. I asked that question last meeting.
the,
Of the base guideline budget,
How the
the
enrollment.
population, the enrollment shift, how much would that?
How
And
much?
1.8%,
You said less than a,
Six.
about a percent.
it'll be 0.18%.
and we can cover
That's what
that.
you think, yeah. Well, we can it, I don't think we
18
can,
basis points.
I don't think we can cover it because they're already coming in at 2.5 rather than 2.125 that
Yeah.
we're at. But it's a very explainable small override
Why can't we use free cash offset it?
because it's one-time
One-time
event.
event.
We cannot use free cash to do a one-time.
Unless
We've
they-
been,
Why is
we've
it-
been beating
Why
them
is
up
it a
over it
one-time,
because,
I'd say operating budget?
no, but free cash is a one-time.
Well, to offset the tax levy, we do that every.
Oh, and that's, well,
And the bottom line.
Well, but we've already-
The bottom
yeah,
line there.
we already have modeled.
75,000.
Well, let's see what the number is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then we can, once.
Yeah, I mean, I think across the, we'll find if it came that low, yeah, but ultimately the difference between 2.25 and 2.5 is half of that to $75,000. I mean, well, no, it's less than that. It's $30,000. But, we've got to, anyway.
I don't think we need two overrides of Masco, potentially.
Well,
That's my thought.
Let's see.
well, let's see what it comes in at, yeah.
North Shore Technical School, we talked about Essex Tech. But we're one of the 14 communities that had a real negative impact. Won't affect us. I want to be tight with our time tonight. Won't affect us this year. It's not till next year.
Right.
So we have 2 kids added to it. So we'll estimate about $40,000 increase just on the enrollment shift.
But it's over the guideline.
We don't have a guideline for them, I don't think, right? It was.
Yes,
Right.
yeah.
So
They're
they-
2.25.
Oh, they did get 2.25? How much real dollars was that, Chad, do you know?
13.
Not enough.
Yeah, it was like.
Not even anywhere near.
601,000.
Yeah, it's about-
500 and something.
Yeah. So one interesting thing I was doing the back of the envelope calculation the other day on this and thinking about it though. About 25% of the cost of Essex Tech enrollment comes off of our expense to Masco. So because our enrollment number at Masco goes down, but the first 50% we get hit with because it's minimum net school spend of the Masco budget. So our Masco budget, the first half, about half of it is net school spend, which is just a flat number based on the number of people in town, the youth in town. The other half is divided by that percentage that's enrollment. So 2 people going to Masco means those 2 people aren't in going to North Shore, Northern Essex, are not in our Masco
The
enrollment.
proration drops by that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's still an incredible pain point,
Yeah.
but this is going to shift burden more on Masco as well as our budgets. And it's going to, and Middleton and Boxford should be listening to you on this, and they're not, because when we go down by that 7, they're picking up that percentage.
Well.
The additional
We're the
7,
one who.
or the additional 28.
Right, 15, the 7 to 15, 7 to 15.
Yeah,
They're at 12 to 16, Boxford, and Middleton went 13 to 14.
right,
So
right.
much-
So 6 more each year, 25 students are going to drop out of, let's assume, because the reality is, well, we had 30-odd students who applied. 32 applied and 8 were accepted. That means 32 applied, 15 get accepted next year. They're going to go. I mean, because they're going to go through that list. 15 of those 33, that's their first, they're going to take that choice, right? So we're going to fill all 15 of those. Over those 4 years, it's going to drop 28 kids out of Masco.
You're still gonna need, though, if you think about future projections, right? So there'll be an override likely if you hit 15.
Yeah.
Because it doubles the doubles the assessment for that. A quarter of that double assessment will happen in 1 year. So you're looking at 100, 120,000.
But it puts legs under Masco, the point I'm trying to make
So
is,
their override would drop in theory and ours over here, and then you create an Essex Tech override
Yeah.
over there.
yeah. And they're, but this also puts legs under Middleton and Boxford starting to object maybe a little bit to this new model.
Oxford's objecting, so Topsfield's been, I would say, the champion of
Yeah.
voicing our concerns to the big four who really championed this new proposal at the 11th hour. There's three concerns. One, the way they went about their business at the 11th hour to try to change what was a 3-year average of actual freshman real data doesn't create anything, just the lottery component change, but your enrollment wouldn't. So not really, it made sense. And that's for everybody, all 17. What the big four proposed is basically taking 8th grade eligible kids that live in your community, a lot of which have no intention of going to Essex Tech. Some towns more based on applications. I can tell you right now, Peabody, Salem, Beverly, Danvers have more applicants than Topsfield on by a ratio percentage of people who apply, right? So they didn't look at that. And so by effect, you're going to create an opportunity for more Topsfield kids to participate, which is great. We want that participation, but you also want to make sure not just Topsfield's more seats, that overall the seats that are participating in technical school are going for technical purposes, and it's not becoming a cohort for groups of friends to get a prep school before they go to college.
Right. I did see a thing on Salem's page, of them talking about the lottery and parents being pissed about the lottery and not in that system. Not one mention, though, of this change in the reduction of the number of kids from their town that'll get to go. I don't think they know.
Which community? Salem? Salem, ironically, had 48 and they went up 4 seats, even though they advocated. It was wild. I don't think that that's probably why they created 4 more seats. Where Peabody went from 122 seats to 71. Beverly went from 60 seats to 51.
122 to 71. And what was the other one? Beverly
went from 60 seats to 51. And then Danvers, I don't have it off the top, but Danvers went, I think, down to 39 from like 60.
Did you get that from me?
Yeah, I have it.
I'm gonna have fun with this. Yeah. I mean, you think of it, so Peabody lost 50 slots.
And what's the state requirement?
Yeah, that's a great question.
That's what I.
Are you
would
still
like to know.
offering technical school?
Yeah, you're legally obligated to offer it, so how do they determine these numbers?
50 seats.
You have to send 1 kid a year?
Well, 7 plus.
That's a name.
And then why can't we say we're not?
They're sprinkling them around differently.
Yeah.
So I don't think it's how this tech school determines how this is what Whittier Tech, this is the Whittier Tech model, which failed epically. Is basically taking the number of kids in your population.
Yeah.
And
Because Newburyport wasn't sending anybody, and anybody who applied got in, and
right.
And Haverhill didn't get what they, had many kids who couldn't go. They wanted to.
So the financial costs of the 14 towns, and of which those communities went up over a third. Marblehead went from 10 to 39. Topsfield went from 7 to 15. Hamilton as well. There's some significant increases. There's a lot of upset people, and to your point, Sajis, is that how the big four went about it was not right. The way that now impacts our community significantly was not right. But most important, when I met with the superintendent last week, she agreed with me. Kids that don't have the same opportunities that potentially kids here in Topsfield and other communities don't have, where it can be life-changing for somebody who lives in one of these other communities where they drop 122 down to 71. You could change people's lives, not in a way that we want to change people's lives. Getting that opportunity to get an HVAC education, a plumber, electrician, trades, that seat could be life-changing. And now they took 50 of those seats away from people that could very much benefit from it.
It would benefit, yeah.
And that's wrong.
Yeah.
All right, I'm sorry, I think I did wrong.
Yeah. All right, continuing on. Grant authorization.
Mr. Chair.
Yeah, so much.
So then we have the consent agenda. So only thing in there that I'll point out, because this is very standard, is the Gatsby's in there. Every other year we put it in. It was 8,500, I think, 2 years ago. It's up to 9. We also are putting special indemnification lead fund in there for $90,000. We have an employee who's been on IOD for quite some time and is really, as a result, that account needs to be replenished. It's one of those accounts we'll put in this year. We don't anticipate having to put in. It's kind of like an override. You put it in, free cash is where it is now. It's the right year, the right time to do it.
And that Article 12, the name of it changed, right? And the general purpose of it changed?
So I had a different state, I had a placeholder for something, they had 3 accounts that were created back in 2017.
Okay.
I had a different one there, but then the finance team and I talked and we said, that one's actually okay. We're gonna put it in for this one. And so this is the IOD one. And then unemployment compensation, we did it a few years ago as well. I had 90 in there. It would set us up, I think, for a few years. I had a conversation with one of the select board members and we decided to drop that down from 90 to 50. Which is
Can you
fine.
get us some data on these? I have no perspective on these 2 accounts.
So I can say that I have it in my other warrant downstairs.
Could you just ask Amanda to send us a 10-year history? You know, the balance in and out of these accounts?
So I can say the special unemployment, last year we averaged $6,700 for the year per month.
The data's in the annual report. I just don't want to go through 10 years of them and try to pull them all out. So if you could have,
Just kidding.
It's in there.
just,
Yes. Okay, moving on time. Yeah, so we've got a request for those 2. That would be helpful.
Town facilities maintenance fund, that's standard every year. And then we talked about our capital, so I'm not gonna necessarily go through these one by one. But we have the ones for the police department, the chief spoke to. Anything highlighted again, is still some conversation if that's what we're gonna do.
Kevin.
Fire, yes, sir.
that town maintenance fund,
Yes.
has that always been 35? I thought it was 25.
We
in my
dropped it
mind.
last year because for the first time in it's grown over the years. Last 2 years prior to last year, so 2 years ago, 3 years ago, we had 35, I believe. Last year dropped to 25 because of the free cash situation we had. And so we didn't do certain work, which we talked about.
You're checking my memory.
Yeah, like the sprinkler downstairs that we had to postpone until this year for that reason. And that cost us an extra couple grand as a result, but, fire, covered that tonight, so I'm not gonna go through any of that. And then I did talk I'm still waiting for the schools to give me some more backup on what that description for that Article 23rd. I did talk with Steve Greenberg briefly in the hall and I said, can you please get me that sooner than later? We've been asking for it. And I'm sure they will. We talked about DPW tonight, so I'm not gonna cover any of those. Rail trails, library HVAC control system.
We can talk about that.
We'll talk
You
about
already good with
that.
that? Good. Rail trail storage building, that is because of the old highway building. We have a grant that we're applying for this through, the state, which, we feel generally confident that we have a good chance at it. We can't say we do, we'll get it till we get it. But this is almost a backup. I'm not sure if we'll know by the town meeting, but it'll be close, whether we got the grant or not. If we get the grant, we don't have to have the article. If we don't get the grant, or we haven't heard back, we'll probably ask for the funding as our backup in case we don't get the grant. But if we do get the grant after we fund it, we will just have a return to free cash next year.
I'm looking at the title of Article 20. We just went by it.
28th,
The
we're on
tree,
28th.
the tree planting and,
That's 29.
Yeah,
We're not there yet.
oh, sorry.
almost done with it.
I scrolled back and came back.
Yeah, I was.
So I just want to make this point. So there was 2 storage buildings. It was referenced, the
Yeah.
cost of cell is not gonna offset. If we're fortunate, we get this grant for the rail trail and we get the donation on the building.
Yeah.
It's actually gonna be 0 cost for the storage,
Or short money for the
Or
install.
short money.
For the
Exactly.
install, yeah.
There's a
Plus
little-
all those excess benefits
Yeah.
financially.
Yeah, and I'm all,
There's an unused garage behind the box top. It's small.
Oh, the yellow building? You mean behind the fire station? The old fire station, old highway garage?
No, yeah, the old highway garage on the right-hand side is the
Box top.
box top. You know, the consignment store,
You want me to take that for storage?
right behind it.
Sorry.
Right behind it is a small garage they don't use. I got a picture of it. I have no
I'll have
idea
to
if
look
it's,
at it. Is it
Yeah.
their building?
huh?
It's their storage garage? It's theirs, not ours, right?
It's theirs.
Yeah.
Could rent it. I mean, I was just thinking, it's
There
a
you go.
possibility for the rail trail,
If we maybe, I mean, I'm really excited
if
about
it's
this grant.
suitable enough. I don't know.
Yeah, Joe Keller might be.
I asked them about it. They said, no, we don't use it. So I said, oh,
Oh, really?
I'll mention it to Kevin.
Worth exploring. Why not?
Yeah,
If we don't get the grant, I mean, if we get a fully funded garage.
That's a
that's
different
brand new,
story.
Let's go. But We talked about tree removal and planting. I know you had a question about the
The
title.
title, tree removal and planting. This is just tree removal, isn't it? Because previous time we had two different warrant articles.
Yeah, it was requested from the select board and I thought it was a good idea not to tie our hands. We have money, a little bit of money left in the planning article that we haven't used. But the idea here is to create some flexibility with it where the vast majority of this money will likely be.
That's fine. I'm just trying to clarify.
The planting would be if we needed it, if we have the big planting or we run out of money and we still have money here type of thing.
In case somebody asks me, town
Yep.
meeting.
Yep. I'm waiting for Greg to do the back on the next three for the capital.
Just one thing on 30th. Just in the description of the recommended, in the second line, to fund the removal waste from the water treatment. It's just I think,
Removal of waste.
Yeah, right?
Thank you. Yeah, I have it up top, removal of waste. I just forgot the of. I got it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
33rd, zoning.
And then the next, our zoning, I'm meeting with, I think I mentioned this earlier, Martha Morrison and Bob Moriarty tomorrow. I'm gonna ask that they, by the end of the week, provide me with all of the articles. I know that not all these articles are gonna be there. I did receive a citizen's petition today, relative to one of the articles that the planning board and zoning board decided to pause and not pursue this year. They want to do more study on it, make sure there's not unintended consequences by passing something. That language, that was the last language that was being proposed, was then copied and put into a citizen's petition. And so
They've asked to come present, so I told them the 9th or the 23rd of March.
the zoning and planning
No,
The road.
citizen petition.
on this particular one,
This is
No, it's a
the,
different-
this is the, poison?
not that one.
Oh, okay,
So
so,
the two, let me,
okay,
so
sorry.
this is a planning, so there was a proposal early, so typically
I
with
understand.
planning and zoning, it's studied by a planner, it takes some time, there's community engagement when you're gonna do something, especially something that retracts an existing use, because then you're taking something away versus expanding. This is the first time in my history here that we're looking to retract, but there was a conversation around the zoning article that was passed over 20 years ago that allowed for a special permit for bed and conference center. And it's new growth, it allows for opportunities to expand current uses, something's blight. I'll give you an example, as it was written, if 10 School Ave came in after this gets passed, 10 School Ave doesn't happen. So, right, let's put perspective on it, right? So having the conversation when it was brought in, I said to this chair of this planning board, I said, I can't support this without further review. I'm not necessarily opposed to what you have, it's the process. It doesn't necessarily meet our master plan. It hasn't had public engagement, and we're pretty far along the process for such a significant article that could have an unintended consequence. Let's study it for next year. And the planning board brought it back to the planning board after that conversation, they agreed. Subsequent to that, a citizen's petition came in with the same language that was being proposed.
Understood.
So, this will be an interesting one, but I am
So a
dead.
member or members of the planning, the vote to table it, I suspect, was not unanimous.
No, but the citizen's petition came from somebody not on the planning board.
Okay. Okay,
So that's not in this incorporated. I will probably be in this area. And one of the things we're working on is consent agendas. Most of the planning articles, as I understand that I expect, are going to be housekeeping, if not all. If they are, these will likely be consent agenda. The home rule, the citizen's petition is going to be called out separately.
Yeah.
Because that has a major impact. And again, I think process is important.
well, it's also, it's a citizen petition, it can't be voted on as part of the consent, I don't believe.
I don't
I
really.
don't believe so.
I don't
Because
think
it's
it- I
presented
think
by
it's
a
not
different
going
group.
anywhere.
I wouldn't want it either, because we'd have to represent, the rest of the planning ones, we represent. The citizen's petition, if you pile it into it, that
You
wouldn't,
guys weigh in on the citizens.
we know, we do,
Yeah.
but we don't get up and speak to, I wouldn't get up and speak to it in championing a recommendation or not, like I would for a, we would, when the exotic animals came up, the explanation was done by a number of citizens, not by
Right.
the board and or I. Yeah. Well, almost as bad as we got smoked about the,
Plastic bag.
the trees.
I'll just say this, we've done a lot for We've done a lot organizationally in the last 6 years. Number one thing I always hold really true and dear is process and making sure there's a robust, transparent process. And I think there's gonna be some real conversation needed on that one. We're getting through
Accepted roads.
those, and then we're looking at accepted roads. That's, I think, if you haven't heard, we're looking to accept about 7 roads that have historically not been, but we've
We talked
maintained.
about those with
Yeah.
Karen.
Chapter 90 is.
Yeah,
tracking down.
we talked about today.
Perfect, we'll keep moving. Milebrook Bridge, new highway layout and easement acceptance. That is, did Gary talk about that one?
No.
So that one is Milebrook Bridge. The road is actually expanding, so technically we need a new layout that needs to be accepted for the road, because the road's now larger. And there's an easement with the Audubon Society, which is, I think, a temporary easement for the most part. It might be a little area when you come off the bridge that we need to take. Hopefully we'll get a donation on that, and it's not gonna be relevant for this, but at the very least, we'll need to do the layout, so I'm getting language from KP Law for that. It's very technical, I'm not even gonna take a stab at that one, they're just gonna provide the language. E-bikes and micromobility.
What's that?
Oh, we know what that is.
So this is an interesting one, we've had a lot of issues with,
Oh,
if you're familiar with the e-bikes, we've had a lot of people who, and generally it's fair to say it's been youth, who've been riding e-bikes at exceedingly fast speeds on sidewalks, middle of the road, rail trail. So the chief and I have been working on something, and the select board, that we can put some guardrails around the use of these. And so KP is helping us with that, and the chief obviously as well. I'm not sure if the next 46, 47 are gonna get on. KP is looking into it, but modification public hearing postings, we don't have a paper anymore. And the one that we advertise in Salem News is exceedingly expensive for applicants and the town, because we do also post and have to post things. Our understanding, and KP is going to review this, but there's a method for us to create a modification so public hearings can be posted on the website alone. Yeah, it's the way people get their information.
2026.
Yeah.
What's up, 0.
So the allowance, and the next one, 47, is the electric signature for town boards. I think this might just be a policy I can incorporate versus an actual bylaw. KP is looking at that as well. And then the prudent investor, this one you guys might have some real interest in because it's a financially focused. This is coming from the treasurer, Morgan Dwinell. It's actually something a lot of communities have done. Towns and cities are guarded by just a very limited amount of investments you can make with the funds that we have available. So we invest our funds and we make a return. What prudent investor is that the state allows you through an adoption of a GL, Mass General Law, to expand what you can invest in slightly. Doesn't let it open up for, I'm not buying penny stocks, right? We're not buying penny stocks, but allows us a little bit more variety in what investments we can make. A little bit more risk, but a bigger return potentially coming of it as well. It's been tried and tested and proven to be generally successful, and the state continues to have the guardrails on it. So it just allows a little more flexibility in our investments. And Morgan can speak much more eloquently than I can beyond the sort of.
Is there,
general.
It's a Mass General Law that allows us to do it.
is there an additional education requirement or a skills requirement for the, or I'm curious.
I'm not sure. I know our financial advisor will be key components of helping.
I'd like
us.
to have Morgan.
Just put it all in crypto.
What's just what you want to invest in?
Yeah.
Sorry.
What's your
I generally am supportive of this, but I would look curious. It sounds interesting, but I'd like to get some more details.
Yeah, no, it's very commonly accepted. It's not nuanced at this point. It's been around for a number of years and it's been adopted in many communities. I brought it up with Lauren. She goes, "Oh yeah, we got language. I'll send it over to you." Lauren from KP.
Yeah.
Citizens petition for SCARs. This is one that would ban through a home rule special act would allow us to ban a certain type of chemical used for exterminating pests. I will say that we did some homework into this, and you can see actually the
description is not the SCAR.
highlighted. So this is the last time. This is the language from the last time. Last time we did citizens petition, so we just got it today, right? The 2 citizens petitions came in this morning, so and I sent this Saturday. So basically, once I have that, I can now insert that into the language, and it will not talk about Emerson Field.
Oh, is Emerson Field off the table?
No,
No, it's done. It was so.
Mike, you just woke up.
No, there's not an Emerson Field article this year. This is the last citizens petition we had.
Citizens petition came in today. This went out. He knew what citizens petition was coming in. He didn't know what it was going to say.
Oh,
So this is the old language.
The last time we had one.
so you thought it was going to Emerson Field?
I was
No.
playing a big
Okay,
trick on you.
okay.
Come on.
No, we did not.
No. This is like I've done in, like Article 3, I had last year's numbers for what the budget was.
Yeah.
This is the last time, just for form, I wanted to have it included.
Okay.
And then Masco, we're not sure. There's a lot of transitioning happening at Masco right now. What the plan will be around them taking out any debt or any monies to allow them to start their process on capital. But I haven't spoken to the administration now for a little while.
Yeah.
So you might be ahead of it, but I know it's something that they're saying might be coming in with a small amount, which is what's small arbitrary, right? Like $2-3 million. But this is the last debt. A couple of years ago, do you remember when this was being discussed? This is that language again, kind of like the one above it, just as a placeholder.
Yeah, and so there's a meeting, Eddie, I'll talk to you after this. There's a meeting either the 24th or the 26th of February where they're going to talk about this. They just put it out asking. I cannot,
Seems like
I'm probably
first.
not able to go the 26th. We could both go on the 24th.
Mike
If
is
you want.
also,
Yeah, I've been a lousy backup, but I'll start.
Okay,
Yeah.
so we'll let you know in terms of what they want, what they're looking for, and I'll share it with both of you guys.
Sure.
The next one is, this was a suggestion from our resident who's a pretty renowned municipal accountant, Tony Roselli. We were talking about how to best position ourselves for our bond when we go to bond this fall, for the water tank and the mains. And you mentioned, some of his communities have created a pension stabilization fund. I literally found this out days before putting this on, and I just wanted it as more of a placeholder. I need to do more research into it. And also we have the OPEB, so maybe there's something there that we need. Does it overlap in any way? You can I did get confirmation from KP, you can create a pension stabilization fund if we so choose. So we're not self-funding our pension, right? We have Essex retirement, but I wanted to at least put this on for at least so it's tracked, and then we have a conversation, and if something we want to just
Is where the money's gonna come from, because right now it's
It's like,
one way.
we're not smooth in peaks and troughs. It's
Yeah,
only
we're
going
just-
up and it's only for 7 more years.
True. I mean, the last couple of years have been significant increases though, like 150, 125 last year,
They're going
144
to
this
keep
year.
being that way for the next 6 or 7 years.
That's where the stabilization can help us, so that if we start putting some money aside and we have a year where it spikes to 200, and we have a challenging year where we don't want it to override, we might be able to dip into this for 50, 100,000 to get us there without asking for any more money. That's the idea.
I understand.
is there a reason we couldn't use a stabilization fund?
General
stabilization fund?
Good.
You could, this is exactly what I wanted to do, is throw it out there for
Yeah.
conversation.
okay.
Yeah, so something to think about.
What happened for 51st, Article 51st? We go from 50 to 52.
No,
It's Emerson.
No, it's they're just out of order.
Yeah, goes from 52nd to 51st.
51st.
This is pretty.
Oh, you know what I did? I had it in the other way, and then I switched it, but I never switched the article.
Okay,
Sorry.
so we're.
Great catch, Heidi.
articles right now.
Where's the
Okay.
break for the second night here, Kevin, with all these articles?
Special ed stable, I just want to get through tonight.
Yeah, sure.
Special ed stabilization fund and special ed reserve fund. The only question I have there is, didn't they give us 150?
So they emailed me and said, 90% sure we had an email that said they wanted 50-50 from Steve Greenberg at some point, like a month and a half ago.
They said not, they should say.
Yeah, so today.
I heard what was said.
Yeah, yeah.
If I
So
ask
she-
Amanda to confirm
Good.
what was
Okay.
actually given back.
Yeah,
If
whatever it is, we're
if
giving it
that's
to
what
them.
We're gonna do.
Yeah.
I just confirm for my own knowledge, when they say give back, that's just underspending on their budgets. That
You
went,
got
that went to free cash.
Yeah, it fell
And
to
we're
our
just
free
saying,
cash.
we'll
Yeah.
use it. Free
So
cash.
Michael,
Okay.
so what we don't spend helps like 300,000, 400,000 on the town side. That falls into our certified free cash number, because we're not using it with it. What we're doing is kind of letting them they spend down to the penny, because they then take this and put it into one of their accounts. But it's a really, obviously, thoughtful financially.
So historically, I have I had to have a conversation with them where I said, if I came in at my budget number as close as you do 3 years in a row, I would have been fired, because there's no way I can be that precise, and I'd know that I'm spending to the
Buy a lot of
penny.
paper at the end of the year.
Yeah, exactly. And so,
There's a lot.
so, yeah, I mean, and so
I see-
they kind
I
of
see
took
POs.
it to heart a bit. And they said, well, let's create these stabilization funds and we'll put some money there. At least, it comes back to the schools for a benefit, but
It's a great idea.
it helps it, so.
Yeah, no, it's a really, working with the schools is really good on this because I think we all saw the, hey, we can be, instead of maybe buying that extra ream of paper or chairs.
It's just a lot of incentive to waste money then.
Conserve it and then put it into something where it's our most
May and
variable
June.
costs and
Yeah.
largest swings, which
Yeah.
is the two.
That's great.
Special education.
Yeah.
And then, OPEB, that's
yeah.
part of our policy, capital stabilization. I gotta confirm those two numbers. Amanda actually said their total is pretty close. It's a small tweak that they're still highlighted. Waiting for the final numbers, but what the idea here is to replenish fully what we drew down last year. And just a reminder, we over the last 4 or 5 years have actually put excess amounts because of, fortunately, ARPA grants that we obtained, operational savings, all of it allowed us over the years to put excess of our policy of what the floor was into it, allowing us on a rainy day, which happened last year, to draw down so we could get the minimum amount of capital we had to spend. The idea is bring it back up to where we were so that we position ourselves again for the bond rating agencies to tell a story. We dipped in, but we put it back in.
And then free cash.
And then that is it.
Any questions? Cool. Okay, so we will review this again sometime in March, later in March. And go from there. Two other things that we had on the agenda. One was meeting minutes.
Yeah.
The meeting minutes are out there. They were published as always by, let me pull them up. Shoot, I had them open and I closed them. How did I do that? Okay. I'll have to pull them up. Give me a second while I go to my inbox and go to last Monday. My inbox. Because Heidi sent them out Monday night. Well, that's why, because I was looking at PDF. I have them. They were a PDF. I was looking in Word.
But I send them as a PDF.
Yeah,
We didn't mean to.
that's okay.
Send us a
I have a
word.
PDF editor.
Why am I, you sure? I got it.
PDF editor, one of my weird.
Let me make sure this is the right one.
Of course.
Oh, no, that's January 26th. I got the wrong one open. That was you posting the approved ones. Sorry. I was opening the wrong email. Draft there. My apologies for opening the, and then the other thing we had on the, no, it's just. I don't know.
Wait. Wait.
There it is. Okay, there we go. Sorry, folks. I don't know what was going on there. Quite certain there was an ID 10T error.
Was that your VIN read there?
ID, what, have you ever, write it out. Just go ahead and write it out. Here. Seriously, ID 10T. You'll see. All right.
I,
I have the visual.
3, 10.
No, even, I know, it's worth a laugh, even if it costs us another 30 seconds before we get out of here. All right, here they are. My deepest apologies. And this, meetings from the second, going through the, and I did read this, reviewing the various budgets, reviewing for the police, then for Beth, then Conscom, health.
There's that one area highlighted in red.
Yeah.
So.
It is fiscal year 27 that it won't be available, right? But she said that the funds won't be available next year, and it was like, oh, are we talking about next fiscal year? Are we talking
Oh, I
about
don't
a
know.
year after?
So I don't know. I didn't,
I think it's the next fiscal year, because I think it's coming out of her budget.
Well, 57, 20.
28
Is it 28?
or 27 this year.
27, next fiscal year is FY 27.
Yeah, right?
That was my
That's
understanding.
what
Okay.
I'm thinking, yeah, that's what I was thinking.
I thought so.
Oh, yes,
I think
yes,
it's fair
yes,
to
yes.
assume
I
it's
think that,
FY 27.
yeah.
Close enough.
Yeah.
So I'll just change, these funds will not be available for fiscal year 27.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll take a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes as amended, as we just discussed for February 2nd, 2026.
Second,
Second.
we have a first and second. Everyone's here, so we can do a roll, voice. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained?
Motion to adjourn.
601, 1 second before that, I agree.
Second.
We are not meeting next week. As a reminder, next week is a holiday. So we will not be meeting. We will be meeting the following Monday. Let me pull up quickly our agenda for that meeting. It's already been posted. You guys, I'm not even going to try and throw it up there. So it's zoning, planning if possible, and warrant articles, current events, and going over the budget. It is,
6 or 6:30?
this one is currently listed at 6, but I can do either. So it's not a major lift next week, 2 weeks from now. So what do you all want? 6, 6:30?
6 work, it's fine. with
Six
me.
works.
6 works for me right now.
I can do either one, I'll just have to.
Yeah, 6 is fine.
You sure?
Yeah.
Okay, then we will do 6, will allow us to run with it on the 23rd. And with that,
Motion to adjourn.
One question, Mike,
Yeah,
didn't you have the recap sheet? Did you send it around or?
so I sent, it didn't change much. I sent it to the other modelers and Amanda, and I just thought it wouldn't be fair to just pop it over without getting.
No,
validated.
that's okay.
No, it just changed, it just reflected changes in the cherry sheet that came in. And then it just reflected the change in the omnibus.
Yeah, I'd like to see it if you don't
I'll
mind.
I'll send you what I have, but it's
Sure.
just moderate changes.
Okay, that's
Okay.
fine.
All right, on that note,
Second,
Time's the charm. Motion
Yeah.
to adjourn.
second.
all in favor?
Yeah.
Opposed? Abstained? Everyone have a great night.